All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the budget retreat. I ended up wearing a bow tie today anyway because some of you guys told my wife I needed to. So to make up for it, I am not wearing pants. Let's start off with approving the agenda. We have that in front of us today. We've all seen it. It's 180-something pages. And we'll get a motion to approve it.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the agenda as written.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Let us dig right into it then. I think Jimmy has got a couple things we got to knock out in the beginning here. If you could bring that to us, sir.
And these normally would have been on a regular meeting, but there's a deadline, and we weren't going to have a meeting before the deadline except today. So,
Fine, here we are.
yep.
I don't think the mic's on. Mic's not on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, start over again. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Before you, you've got the TELUS contract. TELUS is the firm that we're looking to hire to do our right-of-way acquisition for the Junie Road sidewalk project. They are, this contract has already been pre-approved by NCDOT, so we just need the board's blessing to approve the contract and allow the town manager to sign the contract so we can put TELUS to work acquiring the right-of-ways and any temporary construction easements that we may need for this project. There's about 30 parcels that we're having to, or 30 parcels that we'll have to negotiate with. This $105,000 is an 80-20 match that was in part of the agreement with Junie Road. So we get 80% of those funds back. Now, any property that we have to acquire right away, that'll be 100% town of Anchor cost. We won't know those costs until we settle with the property owners. So this is just the next step of moving forward with the Junie Road sidewalk project. Do you have any questions on this?
Anyone have any questions or comments for Jimmy? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we allow the manager to execute a contract with TELUS for property,
And the town approves the contract.
and the town approves the contract.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the resolution before you. Our town engineer, Bill, is trying to get some funds for grant funds for mitigations number 1 and 2 of our part of our Southwest drainage study, going from Highway 55 up to Carly Seas. That's 1 and 2 together. So I think there was about $12 million that was available. This will be a 100% grant with no cost to the town of Anchor. So we're going to apply for the grant. We don't know if we're going to get it or not, but we're going to apply. And we just needed this resolution from the board to be able to put that with our packet, which is due by the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Jimmy about this?
Approved grant money, that which was already approved.
So we're applying for grant money. There's roughly about $12 million in the grant fund. So we're applying for that. No guarantee that we're going to get anything, but we're putting in an application for that because I think several other municipalities will be applying for it as well.
This is to address the flooding issues that we have. So we started at number 3, South Broad Street, the culvert project, which is partially funded by the state and the town. And then we're trying to get this grant money to move the other 2 mitigation measures forward.
All right, so to be clear, we are approving the application for a grant. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the application for the grant for this project.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you, Jimmy.
All right, thank you. And just to let you know, I've got a pre-bid meeting for the Junie Road water tank, so I'll be stepping out probably about 9:45 or so to go to that meeting, and she'll be back. Just tell them to stretch it out for our 11 o'clock.
All right, all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to start what we're really here for, which is our budget retreat. Sounds so exciting, but I have not seen any palm trees or drinks or anything like that. So it's not actually a retreat. It's just a nice way of saying we're going to sit here all day. Okay. Okay, good. All right.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor and Board. I just want to provide a little bit of background on this project. It started in 2019, so many years ago now. The pandemic slowed the progress of the data collection, the formulation of the recommendations. There are some good suggestions in this plan. However, this plan does not come with cost estimates. So if there are ideas that the board would like to see implemented, there will be an additional step to try to get you cost estimates. I wasn't here when the contract was negotiated, and I'm not sure why it wasn't requested to have cost estimates put in, but this is the product that we have. So project overview, there was public input, existing conditions and analysis, and then the vision plan and design and planning recommendations. So what they identified was that what was important to Anger was character and identity, accessibility and connectivity, resilience and economy, enjoyment and health. And I will say that some of the issues that this plan raises or that proposes to be addressed are already being addressed by the board, such as increased parking and making pedestrian facilities safer through the pedestrian plan. So they there's an online survey, 707 responses, 40 participants at local events, and their goals were to define downtown boundaries, identify needs and amenities, establish character and identity, enhance streets and parking. So most of the respondents were female, and most of them were white, and so I just point that out to say that there might be some communities that did not share their input in this plan. So I just ask you to keep that in mind. Most of the folks were retired. There were some business owners and educators. Most of the respondents did own a home in Anger. So they wanted to define the boundaries of downtown, and I sort of have always thought of downtown as the side of 55, but they are seeking to expand those boundaries across 55. And then the downtown business core, these are the boundaries, basically Depot and Broad. So this is what people said that they like to do in downtown, which was go to the park, eat lunch and dinner, attend festivals or public events, get breakfast or coffee. And you can see on that slide, it shows how many daily is the darkest red, and then the lightest color is seldom or never. 54% of the respondents think the pandemic affected their frequency of visiting downtown. The citizens that engaged in this survey said they were very satisfied with parks and recreational spaces. They were not satisfied with streets. They were moderately satisfied with open space and housing. And so you can see one of the biggest requests or needs that these respondents looked at were restaurants, museums, coffee shops, bakeries, and retail shops, which since 2021, we have added a few of those amenities to downtown. So what do you love the most about downtown? Small town feel, Jack Marley Park. What do you dislike most about downtown is that there's not enough parking, there's traffic, and there's limited restaurant options, all of which I think all of you have heard and I have heard in my time here. They would like to see more coffee shops, restaurants, activities, events, festivals, and retail. They would like to see less vacant storefronts, traffic, and vape shops. The top 3 priorities identified by the participants in the survey were redeveloping vacant, dilapidated properties, creating a farmer's market, and facade improvements. They thought the most critical elements to improve downtown was diversify the mix of businesses, create a farmer's market, restore and preserve authentic historical character, entertainment and nightlife, and create more outdoor dining space. So the top 3 amenities they want to see: outdoor dining, walking paths, parks and recreational space. The top 3 businesses that they want to see are restaurants, retailers, and coffee shops, all of which have increased since this data was collected. So again, I apologize that it's not the most timely report that we've ever gotten.
It's not irrelevant.
Not relevant. Wow. Did you refresh it?
So in July, Richard left me a list of about 100 things on Legal Pad that I needed to follow up on, and this was one of them. I emailed and called this professor several times in July, several times in August, never heard back from her until September. Chrissy and I reviewed the plan with her. We met with department heads to gather their feedback because there were some elements that she was proposing, and you'll see some of them that I don't believe are possible based on the lay of the land or based on safety issues. So we shared that feedback with her. We asked her in February to be able to come to this meeting. She's traveling out of the country. She travels out of the country quite a bit. So I'm just bringing this to you now so that you can say, put it on the shelf or don't do anything with it. That's the backstory. So I do apologize for that. Yeah. So the level of support for the appearance enhancements, history and preservation, not a lot of support for increased public art, support for following downtown public spaces, updates, create more dining options, improve the street landscaping. Then you can see the survey also asked about housing, and so there was a lot of support for single-family homes and multi-use residential, not as much support for apartments or duplexes. And the most important element that people walking in our downtown thought was needed was lighting and safety. And y'all have upgraded the lighting probably since this time, I believe. These are just pictures that people ranked as what they would like to see in Anger. Obviously, the town being a government doesn't have a ton of control over this, but we do have opportunities to assist business owners with facade grants. The top 2 most important characteristics to participants of the survey when parking in downtown Anger is that it's free and that it's safe. There's another proposal that could be considered, and Chrissy will touch on it, and that's instituting a 2-hour parking limit so that people can't just park their car all weekend on Broad Street and it take up a parking space for 2 days. And that doesn't cost the town any money. Later on in the presentation, she recommends working with private businesses such as the banks to have after-hours parking. That's something that worked in Catawba. I've seen it work in downtown Newton. So that might be something that doesn't cost the town money that could be explored. So they said they felt safe on Broad Street, not safe on Church Street. Again, I don't think there's any surprises there. If y'all have questions, please stop me, by the way. So 2020 census data, just over 5,000 people, median age just under 40, median income just over 56,000. And of course, we know that our population has grown tremendously from 2010 to 2020. She's just highlighting town development from the time that town was created to now, and the different business types that we have: restaurant, office, retail, open space. And then she has our town-owned properties, and which of course doesn't include the new Anger police site. So sidewalk conditions, a lack of signage and infrastructure for pedestrians at First Citizens, Centennial Trail. I didn't realize that it was called Centennial Trail. That's the trail along Broad Street. Leads to a parking lot instead of a sidewalk. Existing condition of 210 and 55, which we understand are DOT streets, and our ability to influence DOT is somewhat limited. The sidewalk is too narrow to accommodate walking, outdoor dining, and social functions. So she's highlighting parking here. So the purple is on-street public parking, and then the gray is private parking lots. So the goals for her vision plan were to diversify placemaking, attract new businesses, create vibrant open spaces, energize the alleys to enhance connectivity, celebrate the history of downtown Anger, create connections within to downtown, install additional wayfinding signs, improve pedestrian walkability, and optimize parking and traffic conditions.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but on the existing parking slide, I just wanted to make sure I understood it right. When it lists, almost 1,000 parking spaces, I think that it is including the parking lots in Jack Marley Park too.
I think it is too.
Okay, so just take that information.
And private, yeah.
Yeah.
The gray ones, so the purple, like hashes, is the on-street parking that we have. And then the gray is private parking lots.
Okay.
Yeah. One of her suggestions was to create a health loop. And so we have some existing sidewalks here, but there would be increased cost to add additional sidewalks to make that loop a reality. Here she shows walking distance to certain amenities. And the public parking lots in this slide are dark pink, where the private ones, or I'm sorry, dark purple, and then a lighter shade of purple for the private parking spots. So here are the recommendations: Centennial Trail revitalization. And some of these are really good. So increasing the trees and vegetation, creating seating areas, changing the elevation and form of space for different activities and experiences, open seating next to the fire station, Anger Farmers Market, which we've been working on. And this is her rendition of what the parking that we are planning to, or we're going to talk about paving, and then a potential farmers market building. We've already done some of this work, the courtyard alleyway on Depot. Here she's proposing a mid-block crossing. Based on my understanding from DOT, they're not in favor of that. Based on my understanding from you all, you're not in favor of that. This is the courtyard beside Ed's. Memorial Park, so like a Veterans Park and Jack Marley Park design. So she's proposing, to the far left is the Memorial Veterans Park, and that's beside the cemetery. And then she's proposing like a dock that you could walk out onto, and that is at the end of Williams Street. So she highlights our commercial streets and what could potentially be done with them. I don't think Broad Street's wide enough for that. So you can see my very analytical mind, and this person is obviously a creative.
Well, all it's great.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I know. I would love to see it look like this. Maybe one day it will.
The land.
Yeah.
Sustain some of this stuff.
Yeah, so this is,
Does the pond look really big, y'all, or not? Because the pond at the park is massive. I'm like,
Yeah, it looks like
did she see it? Because
it's like we're at the beach, man.
they did come here in 2021 to the Crepe Myrtle Festival.
It's
Didn't learn how to
probably
pronounce the
accurate.
name of our town. Nobody ever received it in the
Looks like
town
Miami
until
Beach.
last fall, until September.
oh, well, I remember doing the thing with surveys.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
and
exactly.
That was the NC State.
Yes,
Yeah, it's still good information to have because
it's
this
good
stuff
information.
looks really nice.
It does look really nice. That's right. On paper.
I think.
Um,
Like. Yeah, well, the sidewalk's way too narrow on William Street anyway.
okay, I'm going to get us back on track. So this is a DOT road. DOT would have to approve this. I don't think they're going to.
It's a good idea, though.
Oh yeah, it looks very pretty. But this is why you hire an engineering firm to do this stuff, in my opinion. So much has changed. I know how fast it changes. Of course, this is the intersection of Depot and Broad. Some of that is out of our control. I think we are having turn lanes put in.
Actually, I think that's what we
That's
just
the plan.
approved.
So she got something right. Willow Street. So it would probably be helpful to have striping down there at the cross. That's probably a good thing. This would be cool, and it probably is not super expensive to add, depending on what you put on there. So I guess my concern would be if you were going to highlight businesses on a sign like this, and then the business changed, how often would you have to?
Have to be replaceable inserts. Yeah.
Right. So just more drawings of downtown and wayfinding signs. We've worked a little bit on the gateways of Anger with our signs that have like the Kiwanis and the Lions Club and all that on there. And she's proposing like the town of Crepe Myrtles. So what would y'all like for me to do with this? Do you want to mark it up and send it back to her? Do you want to put it on the shelf? $30,000.
Yeah. You know,
Extremely outdated. I mean, 2019.
a lot of it's outdated, but we did. I mean, some of it we did, and it looks exactly like this.
Some of it we did, and our,
On our own.
Yeah.
yes, on our own. That's
But I
right.
think the ideas in here are good ideas. I don't know if they're like right now ideas.
Sure.
But they're good ideas for the future that can be tweaked,
Right.
to suit things. Maybe we scale the pond closer to Chevelle's
So it's a
liking.
little. Go
but
ahead, Chevelle.
No, my deal is like for $30,000, I want to mark it up and send it back to her and say, we'd love to have you come back and see what it's like now, 5 years later. That I mean, why? We're gonna squeeze that for all we can get. I mean, what is the time limit? What is this expense compared to what we have remaining in terms of how we can spend the rest of the money that she's gotten from us? I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit skeptical of just stopping at this point.
So they paid her up front.
Right.
So that $30,000 is gone.
Is gone.
Gone in 2019.
I guess the question
Right.
is, can we mark
So
it up
this
and
is
send
the
it back?
$30,000.
Yes. I don't know if I think that she will. I think she will incorporate the changes and then give us a new plan.
So additionally, we have a pedestrian steering committee that we're working on.
Yes.
We have a strategic plan that we're working on, which this could fold into if it was more aligned with what we all have discussed and made priorities, the other night. I don't know that.
So what I would think
Yeah.
is that we have this,
Yeah.
we put it on the shelf, but our pedestrian consultant should be aware of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Comprehensive plan consultant, whenever we hire those folks,
Right.
should be aware of it. Because as things like wayfinding signs and pedestrian markings, there are some aspects that can be carried to future plans.
It is good. Like I like the vision of Centennial Trail. Like that looks great. And I don't know if I want to do it this year, but
No,
I mean
right.
that it looks really nice. It's wide and there's seating and
Set some
yeah.
tone for future plans.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think going back to the well and back to her may be frustrating for us and her, and we can just thank them and accept what we got and
Move
move
on.
on with
I
it.
think we would need to prioritize what we like about it so that we're not incorporating unrealistic
I
things
think that would be helpful
Yeah.
for us to know
Yeah.
what you all
Yes.
like
What
about
you
Yeah.
what,
or what could be actually achieved.
the aspects that you like that you want to see
Okay.
potentially move forward, and the aspects that you're like just take them away. I do think it's interesting. You know, sometimes they say the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
With I've heard that since I got here. We need more restaurants, parking, traffic.
Yeah.
So even 2021 to 2024, those things haven't changed. But on the positive side, the board has started to address. So we have the Lillington Street parking that was not. I mean, it might have been in play. I don't know. Were y'all planning that in 2021? Yeah. No. So the board has addressed some of these concerns, and the pedestrian plan will be really helpful, and we'll probably have some very similar recommendations, at least as far as striping and crosswalks and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, for me I wouldn't discard this. I might, file it away
Sure.
to address later. For me personally, I don't see much in here that I would take action on in the short term,
Right.
given that I've got other stuff that I would prioritize. The only thing in here, and it wasn't even specifically spelled out, that I would be interested to really explore during this process is Broad Street and potentially one-weighing it to gain parking. Because I don't think it would be a huge financial impact, but it might help traffic flow. It might get rid of a turn lane on 210
Right.
to keep some depot parking. It might get us some more parking for the cost of signage and striping.
Sure.
And I guess DOT would have to adjust the lights, the signals. But that's the only thing I see in this package that I would want to explore in the short term. For me.
Between Williams and Lillington.
Yeah. I'll block each direction. And just explore the feasibility of it.
Okay.
But other than that, like I like a lot of what I see in here. I'm just not ready to do it right
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a visioning plan, right?
Mhm.
So it gives you some ideas, some
Yeah.
things that you might want to work towards.
Yeah, I like Centennial Trail being wide and trees and tables, and I like some solution to along the pond on William Street. It's awfully narrow. There's traffic, so some kind of I don't know if it would be a full boardwalk thing like this, but I can see a project like that happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for following that all the way to the end.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Yeah.
it was really
Sorry.
great
seeing
to
the
see
end
it.
of
It
Yeah.
took,
One question. Is that standard for us to pay for something like that?
no. You're welcome. I think I'm next.
According to my chart, Chrissy said.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, give me an opportunity to speak to you today. My remarks are, I guess, similar to Celine's in that I'm thinking outside of the box. And I invite you to do the same thing as we look forward to a long-range vision. A lot of Celine's presentation was referring to the future farmers market and like it's something that we've decided on, but some of these things haven't been decided on. That's what we're here discussing today. So it's with an open mind that I ask that you look forward to the future of the town, and sometimes that means stepping back and looking way forward. We can make decisions this year, next year, and things begin to be piecemealed. And I think that's what Celine was trying to say with that presentation is, let's step back, let's look at a big plan, you know, an overall view that we can work towards and piece it together. And yes, she didn't put figures with her presentation because we all know things change, the costs change, you know, as you get a chance to get to them. So, you know, I haven't been here that long, but I think that's a good thing in a way because you come in with a blank slate in your ideas, and you might look at things a little differently than people did before you. So, how do you? So look back at 23, 24. I've been here since September, and before I came, the position was vacant for 6 months or more. The Community Development Advisory Board operations had completely ceased. And since September, the advisory board reconvened its operations. We recommended and received approval for the creation of a nonprofit to be used as a fundraiser for special projects and to assist in the mission of the town to work towards vibrancy and increased livability. As the new members were appointed in November, the board's become better organized, incorporating an operational framework that includes the division of its tasks into a committee framework, design, organization, promotions, and economic vitality. We've elected a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer for the corporation, and we are waiting for final paperwork from the IRS and organizational paperwork to be able to proceed. We have some ideas for fundraising opportunities in the months to come, and we're looking forward to that. With economic, when we talk economic development, there's an opportunity cost. That's basic economics. With every choice you make, you give up something else. And, you know, so what I'm asking for you to do is before you make any appropriations or funding choices, let's weigh all the opportunities before us as a town. So Rome wasn't built in a day. As you said, there's some suggestions on Celine's plan that are really attractive, and it may take us a while to get there. The improvement of the Centennial Parkway and the health loop, are both things that I really was excited about. However, the parking and the farmers market, that, you know, parking's a good thing. I just am concerned that that location is prime real estate, and it may be better served to be used in a slightly different way. So the vision for Broad and Lillington is to expand and revitalize the heart of downtown Depot District by developing the south end of Broad Street. Invest in property that is available. Prioritize the properties in the South Broad Street area that will be assets in achieving a long-range vision of vibrancy, and creatively plan to give Anger more restaurant space, retail, office space, and parking. So you can see in that middle picture to the left of MacIver Street is where the police department will be, and across the street is a lot that is currently for sale. And I've talked to the property owner, and he is interested in receiving an offer from the town if that is what we would like to do. So my recommendation is that the board considers a long-range visioning approach to the expansion and revitalization of the downtown Depot District. Includes the possibility of the development of new restaurant spaces. And I say that because what we're running into with the development of some, when someone buys some of the existing property downtown, is they are reluctant to build in the infrastructure to put restaurants in because of the expense. And so, you know, we're going to continue to run into the problem of, you know, the want of more restaurants, but not being able to deliver it until we address the infrastructure for restaurants, retail, office space, and parking before appropriate response. So I kind of had these ideas bouncing around in my head, and I went out to eat in Holly Springs, and you know, I went to OSHA. And I look up and I'm like, how did this place get here? Like, what, you know, what happened for this building to be here? And I look up and it's Town Hall Commons, and so we start putting two to two together, and so I wanted to investigate a little more, and I want to show you. Can you control click that, Veronica? That link. This little backstory on that project, that the town of Holly Springs entered into a public-private partnership with a developer, and it was interesting to me. Is there, can you get the? It's worth.
Springs and to see.
In downtown Holly Springs, there is a sense of excitement and anticipation. Big changes are underway on Main Street. The brand new Town Hall Commons is open for business after years of hard work and planning.
It is extremely exciting to be the part of the economic development in Holly Springs and to see our vision come to fruition.
The revitalization of downtown Holly Springs has been 20 years in the making. It started with surveys of residents. They expressed a desire to have a downtown that could be the heart of the community, a place where they could support local businesses and meet friends to connect.
The majority of the people that live in Holly Springs live on this side of town, and so they've been waiting for something of this nature for a long, long time.
Thanks to a public-private partnership, that dream is becoming a reality. The mayor and town council members threw their support behind the project by funding infrastructure to support current and future downtown development, including a deck and other parking totaling nearly 400 spaces. Public investment also included a realignment of Rogers Street, safer pedestrian crosswalks to improve walkability, and other improvements.
None of us are professional developers. We all have our own day jobs, but we decided that we want to work together and create something.
And I'm proud of our town, I'm proud of our staff for doing all this, I'm proud of the people who have decided to help us make downtown a destination.
It's building, and the interesting thing is that it's building at the same time downtown is building. So I think our experience downtown is going to be shaped by the introduction of the new building, in addition to the one that just opened up.
When we saw these new developments coming into downtown, we knew we wanted to be a part of it just because, I mean, not only do we love Holly Springs, but we would love to be a part of downtown Holly Springs and just the vibrant feel that it would bring.
And this is just the beginning. Work is already underway for the block on Main, which together with the Town Hall Commons project will add roughly 100,000 square feet of retail, restaurants, and office space to Main Street. The revitalization of downtown Holly Springs is projected to generate $1 billion in regional economic impact over the next 20 years.
This public-private partnership is really a perfect example of what happens when the town government and private sector join forces to make a difference.
So I guess we talked about analytical minds and creative minds, and I definitely have a creative mind, and it gets me in trouble sometimes. But I think it's worth thinking about, and you don't get where you want to go without a little dream, and but a dream is just a dream without the implementation of the steps that it takes to get you where you want to go. So parking, I know, is important, and a farmer's market sounds like a really good, feel-good thing, but a farmer's market, and I know this for a fact, how do I get to the next? There we go. So we'll get to the farmer's market question in a second, but for parking possibilities, there's things we can do right now to take action on parking that won't cost a whole lot of money while we continue to investigate the options that are before us for the south end of Broad Street. We can partner with downtown businesses that have weekday hours, banks, pharmacy, to expand public parking on weekends and after hours and provide signage for that. We can identify and implement all possibilities for street parking. Maybe that is the one-way street, maybe a good thing to consider. I've been asked, what do I think about it? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to think about it. So, this is what we're doing, is we're giving ourselves chances to think about things. Institute a 2-hour limit for street parking on Depot and Broad. I could have a buddy from Raleigh meet me after work on Friday and take off to the beach, and he could leave his car on the street all weekend long, and nobody would bother it. That's pretty nice. That's pretty hospitable. In my opinion. We can identify properties close to Broad and Depot Streets to acquire for additional lots for parking. The alleyway behind North Broad Street has been a bone of contention or source an issue since I got here. It's probably one of the first things that was brought to my attention. The trash trucks have a hard time getting back there to dump the trash because the power lines are so low they can't even lift the cans up, and so there's this issue of the borrowed dumpster space that is not even on town land. It's on a private owner's land at this point, but it's at the mouth of that alleyway where the trash trucks can actually get to it. I would like to see, or I would suggest that we maybe approach that area the same way we did the parking on Lillington Street on the south side of 210. But the issue there is there's not enough public space to make public parking spaces. So that whole issue has got to be continued to be visited and work with the downtown property owners to come up with a creative solution that would be to the benefit of the town.
I'll say that.
Well, you may be right, but I'm not one to believe that things are impossible ever. There's a way around things, and that may be hard-headed or whatever, but I feel like you can't give up on stuff.
Yeah.
There is a way
Around it, it'll be through.
There's a way through it, and the
Where
board
there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
the board can condemn all of that property back there and figure out a way to take it through eminent domain and figure out a way for it to be a public purpose.
Yeah. The biggest difference I see between the one behind Napper Tandy's is that in that case, we could justify a benefit to the public because we had space to pave and create public parking spaces.
Right.
In the case of North Broad Street, I don't know that we have the room for public parking, and so the question of public good or public benefit, while there's business owner benefit, certainly, I don't know that there's enough justification in the good of the public to condemn or invest money in. I just don't know.
So, on to the next issue. We spoke about community engagement in the strategic planning, and it seemed to me it's a kind of a fuzzy subject. You know, it's not like a rock solid concept like public safety or Parks and Rec, or you know, it's a little more fuzzy. So I really feel like that the way to improve community engagement is to improve our communication with the community, and I feel like we should update our website, fund a website update, and redesign to include Andrew's story as well as, you know, maybe an information page on upcoming developments and upcoming businesses that are coming to town, and more use the website in addition to just an information station, kind of a sales tool for the town, and present our best foot forward. Fund a monthly paper newsletter to be included in the water bill. There's a lot of people that are not on the internet, that are not on Facebook, and that would be really very informative. I mean, we get one in Fuquay, and believe it or not, I kind of stick it in my book, and it stays there, you know, through the month. And I do look at it, and I don't think I'm the only one. Send Friday email newsletters that briefly highlight what's coming up in the coming week. If we have meetings or we have events, that's going straight to people's emails.
Imagine this is probably going to happen all day, but
And
I still have it in front of me. So.
And instead of using the Facebook page as our chief means of communicating bad news to the community, I think we should have an app, like an Andrew Ready app for public safety alerts, or if the water main breaks, or any kind of information like that.
Well, I like all of these ideas.
Okay.
I think they all sound fantastic, and hopefully they're not really expensive. But
I don't think they'd be really expensive, but they would need. I would need some help administering.
It would need some effort.
those. That's
sure.
a whole nother position on its own.
Yeah.
I think we should expand our social media outlets because.
That's so sweet.
I'd take a coffee, man. You know, if you're going to be.
I want to say, and I've mentioned it to a couple of other people. Is we need
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that is another need. That we be smaller than we have.
Right. I don't think that there's a anybody disagrees that there should be a sign. I think the question is where does it go?
Yeah, that's what we got to work
And,
on. But maybe we could put the
And
sign on
honestly,
this
I
list.
think about things at weird times. So, you know, at 10 o'clock last night, I'm thinking, well, maybe Alan's not wrong. Maybe it should go on the roof of the
That's been the biggest thing.
of the library. I mean, it's
The previous board, we actually,
Yeah.
we actually approved this, and it just said that it's been done.
No, that's not true. The DOT did not approve the location that y'all approved. So DOT would
No,
let
we
us,
changed it.
We changed
wouldn't
it.
let us
We
go
changed it right
to the
before
corner.
out. No, it's not supposed to. We changed it. What had happened is Alan, Bob Smith, and all of us, we went outside and we said, well, why don't we have it? It doesn't have to be that close to the intersection.
Right.
Bring it back, because that's our parking lot. We can do whatever we want to with it. Put it right there at the corner so it can be seen. It had been approved. We've already budgeted and everything. It's never been implemented.
Never been, yeah. It's
At
right,
least
right at
that's
the
what
corner
the
of the,
board was
right
all
here at the
told.
building, yeah, at the library.
So I think this is an issue brought, and I know
Years ago, when we initially,
Yeah.
DOT said, yeah. But this has just been when,
Richard was.
right, this was right before, Richard left.
So, if it was not put into this budget, which I've never seen it mentioned in the manager's message or in any line item, if it was approved prior to this fiscal year, then that money just goes back to fund balance. Like if you don't spend that money and it's not set
I don't
aside in
know
a special
how they
project
did
fund.
it, but
Yeah.
we approved it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jimmy and Brandon have a proposal for a sign that y'all can decide on. And they've got sort of a baseline cost. And of course, the fancier you get, the more expensive you get. And so y'all can talk about that this, I don't know, in like an hour.
Yeah.
Out there during lunch, Veronica, we were out there, playing Brett was supposed to be and everything.
Yeah, it kind of fell through the cracks.
We're back on track. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm not sure. I have my ideas memorized, so I'm not sure where my presentation went, but sure.
Look at that.
So need some help with a communications and event specialist so that I can do some of the other things that need doing. Events is, I had no idea how much detail work I've learned over the last few weeks, how much time that it takes to coordinate and to organize those events. So there will be a well-executed event. And there's liability waivers. There's a lot of details and administrative work that needs to be done to make those successful. And I think we should expand our the direct mail, email, and our involvement on all social media platforms. Facebook is the main method of social media involvement for the ladies that answered the survey, that age group, and younger people are going to be involved with Snapchat, TikTok, video, other methods of involvement with social media that I think we should start tapping into and start to start reaching an expanded audience through those methods. I'm not great at it. I mean, that needs to be somebody, I would need some help with that, like somebody in the younger range. The younger people seem to be a little better at that than I am. I think we need to visit the Town of Andrew rental policy and do a rewrite of some of that. Right now, you can rent all of downtown for $200 a day. And when I mean all of downtown, I mean you can close the streets, you can get the park, you can get the stage, the gazebo, the depot, all of it for $200. That's crazy.
I agree.
I don't think it should be so expensive that it's impossible or unattainable, but I think that the town should not be in the position of giving itself away.
A lot of that could be broken up too. Somebody wants to rent just the depot station, that they could pay for that. They don't have to give them. So you could do it
Right,
incrementally.
we can
You need the
have it
depot,
in
the
increment.
depot
And
and
if
the
you want to close down the street for
Right.
an entire weekend, then you need to
Right.
consider what that's going to cost you.
Mhm. And I think
as
that would
well.
help manage the affordability that
Right.
you're talking about.
Now,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
now, if I'm not mistaken, other
So
towns
that's
charge.
that's another project that needs to be worked on.
What were you
And
gonna say,
let's
Jim?
talk about the farmers market. Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, doesn't other towns charge for road closures?
We can
and,
certainly look into that and take some clues as to what is the what our competition
Gotcha.
does. Let's go back to the farmers market. I skipped that page. So I have ran farmers markets. I started one from scratch. I understand how much work is involved in running a farmer's market. It sounds like a great idea. Let's build a building for a farmer's market that is not even in existence. I mean, we haven't even started the process. If a farmer's market has to be consistent, the farmer has to have somewhere to sell its product every week at least, if not every day. You know, you can't, produce is picked and sold the same day and it thrown away or given away because it's worthless after that. I mean, there's a constant movement of product. One times a week, if you wanted to get something started, I would suggest once a week, Saturday morning, and I think a pop-up at the Depot Square until commerce is established would be an ample plenty investment in the idea of a farmer's market until, you know, we have a proven need for a building and you know, we've got a farmer's market that is both, you know, supplied and the demand is there. And then my big long-range vision and the thing that I don't have a price tag for, in either direction, what the cost would be or what the benefit would be an Anger Parkway. And in preparation for the immense growth Anger and the greater community is projected to experience over the next 20 to 25 years, I think it would be an advantage to the town to begin conversations and investigations with the town engineer about the possibility of working in partnership with landowners, developers, the DOT to build a roadway around the town to alleviate the gridlock in downtown. A Martin Parkway will provide expanded opportunities for enticing economic development, including industrial space and commercial parks that need ease in shipping and receiving of goods and services. This area has been, it's starting to be known as the Biopharma Crescent in Johnston County and Harnett, down the 95 corridor. We're not all that far from there, but trying to get from here to 95 in the middle of with traffic is tough. Okay, so Judd Parkway was something that Fuquay did and started working on 25 or 30 years ago. They just have completed the loop. So, you know, one of the things when I went to the Main Street Conference that impressed me was the project that they were unveiling and showing off. They had the plans for, like Celine's plan or something similar to that 25 years ago. And they said, yep, this is what we're going to get behind. We're going to commit to this and we're going to work towards this. And they stayed the course. And those things came to fruition. And, you know, so it's okay to dream a little dream, think big, and think about, you know, really what do you want your legacy to be when, I mean, we may never even see it come to be, but at least you knew that, you know, you were propelling things in the right direction for the most bang for your buck and the biggest impact.
Well, with the bypass coming through, how would that affect that parkway? Well,
the bypass is only right now just bypassing a portion of the town, and then it's tees into 210, correct?
Right.
So
yeah,
When it's
going,
finished.
all the way
yeah,
back
well,
to 55.
yeah,
But then, right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe we could work on the east side and have it
have it
to
coming
where
around.
you can go all the way around the town in both directions. Because, you know, all this traffic coming from Smithfield is still going to come right into downtown.
And bottleneck, yeah.
And, you know, so it helps us to a degree, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Judd Parkway is a great example. I mean, Fuquay's a giant mess anyway, but Judd Parkway
Without
makes it a lot
Judd
better.
Parkway,
Yeah.
can you imagine?
Yeah.
You know,
So Chrissy's given y'all some homework because you are the ones who can influence the people in DOT to help us develop some type of a plan.
Well, in fact,
Do what?
They're not going to listen to me.
That's a trick.
Yeah, that's why it's on the west side, not the east.
well, Campo's coming to the events on Earth Day and 5/2. So, you know, and maybe it just needs to be. We've been joking around about planting seeds, you know, and they may sit there for a while before they sprout, or before they start to grow. But you know, you kind of have to put the ideas in people's heads sometimes to get the ball rolling. So that's what I'd like to do. And then you could go out on public art and placemaking. I love the idea of the revamp of Centennial Parkway and or Centennial Walkway, and I'd love to see some sculptures or kinetic art, more benches and interactive pieces that can be placed along that public greenway and the pedestrian plan. I'd love to see a new mural commissioned on this north side of the library that is a little more modern, speaks to the future of Anger as opposed to, most of the art that we have in town is kind of the history of Anger, right? So those are just some ideas, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, some good ideas. Thank you. You guys want to take a stand up, stretch your legs, bathroom break before we move on? All right, we'll take a recess for a couple minutes then. then we'll officially reconvene. Next on the list is Elizabeth. She's going to give us the real important stuff here.
Okay, so I like to start the budget year with an overview of where we are, what the revenue projections are. So at this point in time in the year, these are good guesses, but these numbers can and will change between now and the adoption of the budget. I think it's June 21st. Please stop me if you have questions. It is a lot of information. And I will tell you that this is probably the most important function that you have as elected officials, because this is where you tell the staff and the community what your priorities are for the coming year. So just to look back at last year, the tax rate decreased from 53 cents to 49 cents. Last year was a revaluation year for Harnett County. The town's net position increased by $921,000. That's all of the town's assets. The fund balance increased by $21,000.
Does net position include ad valorem, or is that just increase in assets?
Net position includes your cash on hand and your assets.
Okay.
Less depreciation.
So not additional
so it's not
income.
money you can spend is what you should think of it as.
Okay.
Like if your house, went up in value. I mean, I guess you could borrow money against, so it's not a good.
No,
Anyway.
I see what you mean now. Okay.
Yeah. So the ad valorem revenue in town continues to increase because we continue to add homes and properties to our jurisdiction. So fund balance is the town's savings account or rainy day fund. State statute mandates that we hold at least 8% in reserve. We'll get a nasty gram if we get anywhere close to that number. So 8% is the bare minimum. We don't want to be close to that number. The town did adopt a fund balance policy of keeping 50% of the previous year's revenues as a reserve. As it stands right now, our total fund balance is just over $4.4 million. 3.2 is unassigned, so you have funds that are in fund balance that you can't spend, which is restricted by state statute, the 8%, restricted for streets, for POW bill, and then because of the Parks and Rec fee that we collect, $352,000 is committed to being spent only for Parks and Recreation. So just a quick couple things that sort of get confused out in the community. Property tax base is the value of all the property within your jurisdiction. So that's real estate, that's public utility, so like things that Duke Energy owns, personal property, business personal property. The tax rate is the amount charged per $100 of value. And so I have a just easy little example there. If your home is worth $100,000, divide by 100 times your 49-cent tax rate, you owe $490 in property tax. I want to have a quick word about the strategic priorities that you all have adopted and then the key performance indicators that we came up with as a staff to help you achieve those priorities. So under sustainable infrastructure, we have complete the Junie Road water tank, complete core water system replacement, complete and implement pedestrian plan recommendations and implement flood mitigation measures, operate an excellent public service organization, provide merit pay for top performing employees, invest in technology, both hardware and software, to improve productivity, implement employee listening sessions, and conduct state interviews, promote community and economic development, establish a nonprofit that will invest in quality of life amenities, promote town events and showcase downtown Anger, rejoin the Main Street program, identify and track vacant commercial and retail space, responsibly manage residential growth, update the comprehensive land use plan, consider adoption of conditional zoning and architectural standards, review and update the Unified Development Ordinance, facilitate a work session on housing needs and affordability to establish policy direction for staff. 2 more. Develop an outstanding parks and recreation system, complete land acquisition and road design for entrance at the new park, support the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board with setting policy direction, commission an independent review of park fees and cost recovery, pursue grant funding opportunities for the park, provide a high level of public safety, including expanded training opportunities, crisis intervention training for supervisors, upfit vehicles with radar and purchase a LiDAR system, complete the design and construction of a new police facility, and purchase and install license plate reading cameras.
Sounds like a week's worth of work. What are we waiting for? All this stuff.
Well, so a lot
It's
of
like
these,
knock it right out.
So as we go through the rest of the afternoon, a lot of these things are going to be mentioned, and we have cost estimates, and the board can decide to move forward on them if they choose. So ad valorem is the property tax, so that's the tax you pay on your real estate. It accounts for 47% of our operating revenue. So that's a good thing because that's a very stable revenue source. Our current tax rate is 49 cents per 100. To date, we have collected just over $3 million, which is $27,000 more than what we budgeted. You'll often hear people talk about how much 1 penny of tax rate generates for you. It is just under $70,000 based on the fiscal year 25 numbers. So it is a reval year in Wake County. So that means that all of the properties in Wake County have been assessed and revalued to current market rate. So if you were going to sell your house, they are saying this is how much your house is worth. We went through this last year in Harnett County. The budget officer must calculate and publish the revenue neutral tax rate per the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. So the revenue neutral tax rate produces the same amount of tax revenue using the new tax base. Only properties in Wake County were reevaluated. The average increase for those properties was 65%. The revenue neutral tax rate for Wake County properties only is 29 cents per 100. And at 49 cents per 100, it will result in $383,000 in new revenue.
That's it.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not proposing that. So I have to tell y'all how much money we collected last year from Wake County and what our tax rate has to be this year to collect the exact same amount of money. And because the properties went up 65%, the rate would be lower. As your tax base goes up, your tax rate can go down.
Yeah. If we keep the rate exactly the same,
We're
then
gonna-
just their property tax base value increase gets us almost 400,000 extra in ad
Yes.
valorem.
Yes. But so you just have to publish that rate. That's a
Yeah.
transparency tool that the state government put into place.
Yeah.
And so just complying with that requirement. Just a word on overall economic factors. The labor market is starting to normalize. Inflation has moderated, but it is still above the Fed's target of 2%. Interest rates, we know that the Federal Reserve plans to lower interest rates as the year goes on. What that means for us is we have a lot of cash in the bank, which means we're not going to earn as much revenue on that cash in the bank. So we're taking those factors into consideration. All right, so budget projections. Ad valorem revenues projected to be just over $4 million, which is an increase of $813,000 over the current year. That's due not only to the revaluation in Wake, but also new properties in Harnett County. Sales tax growth is slowing as consumer spending is slowing. We were on a really high uptick from the pandemic until this year. Things are starting to moderate. The projection for that number is $1.9 million. And that is 22% of our operating budget.
I'm just curious, is that number less than last year? Or
I think
is the
it's-
growth kind of
Hold on.
canceling that out? Or
So in the current year's budget, we projected $1.7 million.
okay.
We've collected, so sales taxes is a couple months behind. So we've collected $964,000. So my typical projection is to calculate what we receive, make a monthly average,
Yeah.
and then project that out for the
So it's interesting to see that even though consumer spending is slowing, I guess the growth of our town still
Sure.
is what's pushing our projection higher than it was last year anyway. Okay.
I can send you a very detailed email from this man in Wake County, and he gets really into the numbers.
Okay.
If you want to read all of that.
Sure. Send me the email.
Okay. All right. So DMV revenue. This one good thing about this is that the tax and tag is together, so that's a guaranteed number. If more people move into the town and they change their address, then that number will go up. So as I said earlier, interest earned on investments is expected to decrease. There are other intergovernmental revenues that we receive from the state. Those projections are released by the League of Municipalities typically at the end of April. Right now, we're just projecting basically what we have gotten for this year. Anybody have any questions so far?
Can you give me an example of an intergovernmental revenue?
I would love to. All right, so we've got utility franchise sales tax, which we budgeted $270,000 and we've collected $224,000. So that's the sales tax on your power bill.
Okay.
The beer and wine tax. So that payment comes in one time a year, typically in May. So we have not collected yet.
Okay.
Last year, in 2023, we actually received $25,000. The solid waste disposal tax, we don't get very much off of that. Did I miss one? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Thanks.
Okay. So, is that the next slide? Okay. Yeah, so our total revenue projection right now is around $9.2 million. That does include $600,000 of fund balance, which is to match a Part F grant for park construction, and another $100,000 should another grant opportunity come along that we need matching funds for. So even with the increase in revenues, we can't do every project. So we're going to have to ask you all to weigh in on some of the things that you want to see, and maybe some of the things that are not as important to you. Well, so what I like to do is to get a consensus of what you're thinking, and then I come back to you with the actual hard numbers. So for employee pay and benefits, the proposal is a 3% cost of living on July 1st, and employees can earn up to a 4% merit increase at their annual evaluation. We've included payment for a pay study with David Hill of $5,000. Our health insurance offerings are going to remain the same. We're projecting a 10% increase. We hope that it will come in under that, but that number is not available for at least another month. So in administration, we're requesting 2 positions. We're going to move Chrissy under administration instead of under planning and zoning since she reports to me. We're requesting an administrative assistant for myself and Veronica to handle routine HR paperwork and to assist with special projects, complaints, scheduling, those type of things. And we're requesting an assistant for Chrissy to help with social media and event planning. We have moved background checks, drug screens to the administration department instead of charging them to each department. Last year, workers' comp and liability insurance came completely out of the administration department. We have split that out to be charged to each department. Did you have a question, Jim? Okay. Okay. Fees and rates for the general fund. I'm glad Chrissy brought up the road closure. I think we need to charge $500 for that if you're requesting to close the road. Public Works has to put out the barricades. You know, we shouldn't just let people close the streets for free, because if they close the streets, that's less parking for our downtown business owners.
Well, we also have staff, Public Works,
We have staff.
roadblocks.
Right.
Police are involved in that, I'm sure, too.
Right.
Manage traffic, so. Okay.
So my
Do they?
understanding is that somebody sends us an invoice, or we send them an invoice, and they're supposed to pay for the service of the police, like for Bike Fest. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the Parks and Recreation fee, it's currently $500 per unit or lot. I'm requesting to change it to $1,000 per lot, so that would be revenue collected we're projecting 400 new homes. That'd be $400,000 that could go towards construction of the park. The payment in lieu of open space, developers have not selected this option in the recent years, but we would propose that it also be $1,000 per unit or per lot. Okay, so whenever a developer comes in and they're going to build 100 homes,
This is
Can't-
development fees.
It's kind of what that is, yes. It's to say you're building a house here, your children or you are going to come to the park. So we're charging you this money so that we can put it aside and help develop and maintain our parks. So we're charging $500 per lot, and if you're a developer and you forego the open space, what is the open space requirement? Like 20%. So if you want to build a development and you don't want to have open space, then you would fall under that payment in lieu of open space.
So when you say it hasn't been used in the past, you mean that they have been doing the 20% open space?
Right.
We have very lax open space requirements. You can utilize land that cannot be built on.
Yeah, I've wondered about that too. Yeah, like,
So
is that something we could fix?
we can tweak that.
Okay.
You won't, I mean, obviously they're going to keep wetlands and
Sure.
environmental lands, but you may increase the acreage or you may increase the percentage of open space required or increase the developed open space requirement.
Okay.
And it could be that we sort of tweak the language where a development is going to occur,
Yeah.
but we have a need for a community park or a neighborhood park that we as a town would like to have and not be a private park or a private amenity where we would encourage that we would require a fee in lieu instead of them putting that in.
Okay.
We've identified an area in town, we have land or we want to buy land, we would say, Mr. Developer, we're going to let you pay a fee in lieu and not develop open space that's only for your
Okay.
project. Or
Thank you
we're
for
gonna
explaining
partner
that.
with them to develop a town park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't mean to get off track, but thank you.
No, that's good. So we will have a more detailed, we will go through the entire rate and fee schedule with you at a later date.
Okay.
And there will be several changes that will be recommended by staff.
Okay.
So I'm going to start talking about one of those changes. Oh, So the Water and Sewer Fund is an enterprise fund, meaning it is to be treated like a private business. So we can't take money from Fund 10, which is the funds that I've been talking about, and transfer it to Water and Sewer. So the fund should sustain itself, which means the town should be charging the full cost of providing services to the residents. So one of the fees that we researched were the regulatory or TAP fees. So you can see Anger is the cheapest municipality, followed by Lillington, and they're almost double what we are. We cannot change our system development fees until we do a new study. We did a study last year, so those are off the table. You can't change those until we commission another study.
Thanks a lot.
But we can change these fees.
Okay.
So you see it's Anger and then Lillington and then Dunn and Fuquay.
When's the last time that fee changed?
I'm not sure. Do you know when the last?
It's been a long time. It's been
Stop it.
It's been
Yeah, it's
that
been a
way
while.
for like 12. You've been here 12 years. It's been that way for 12 years.
At least, yeah.
Think how
Okay.
much money we missed out on.
So
4,000 lots later.
think about what inflation has done over 12 years. Okay. So Brandon went through and looked at the labor and the equipment rates using the FEMA schedule of equipment rates that we have to use to connect a home. And so that cost for water tap installation is $28.50, and the cost for sewer tap installation is $33.50. That's both for materials and labors. The FEMA schedule of equipment rates is a widely used resource to determine what these rates are. These increases are needed to fully fund our utility system and to be competitive with other peer communities. As I said earlier, system development fees are unique to each system. You cannot change them without a new study. We just had a study last year, so I wouldn't recommend spending $25,000 again this year.
What was the result of that study?
So it's $26.71 for both of them, right? Okay, it's $310 for water and $23.61 for sewer for a 3/4 inch.
And so we can adjust
We can
the tap fees.
Yes, we can adjust tap fees. Cannot adjust system development fees without a new study. And so there's a study. It has to be posted for public comment.
Yeah.
It has to be adopted. Yeah. Jim and LaRue.
That's fine. If that was last year,
That.
then
I just didn't
yeah.
remember the numbers.
Sorry, what? And it's based off of your debt. So every system is going to be unique. So like Lillington's system development fees are a lot higher than ours, but every system, there's a formula and a calculation, and so every
That's all
system is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm understanding clearly what does it cost? That's what it costs the town.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Is
the
that-
fees above that is what they pay for those?
I think
What people are paying right now to get a water and sewer tap installed is $1,531. What it costs the town is $6,000.
do we
Okay.
recoup,
I just wanted to make
do
sure
we
I was
recoup
looking at
some
that
of that
correctly.
6,000 in
25%.
system development fees that we're not seeing on these charts, or we're
No.
just losing $4,500
Hemorrhage.
per
Every
new
time.
house?
Yes.
Times 4,000.
Yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
keep going back to.
So is this the 6,000 per home or per development?
Per lot.
Per home.
Per lot.
Yeah.
Per
Per
lot.
lot. Yeah.
I can't believe we eat that much every.
Is there a limit on how often you can get those studies done? And how much does that cost the town to get those studies?
You can have, you could have a study done every year if you wanted to. They're about $25,000.
We've spent more for less.
Well, I mean, you
I'm sorry.
We expect a 400 home study bill. And if it's costing the town
This is
$4,500.
more important.
But do they
But
not
we can
account?
we can change this without spending
Right.
$25,000 to
Right.
get a new study that might tell us.
That you can leave it the
Nothing.
same.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
because if
Okay.
they did it last year,
No, it doesn't guarantee
yeah.
it going up.
Well,
Because
there's
even if we do the study, it's not going to impact the tap. That's what you're saying. That they're
That's
separate.
a whole separate fee.
yeah.
Even the projects that we have, like the water tank and the Corey system, those are all funded from grants.
Yeah.
So the town's not going into debt for those projects. So it's not going to
This time.
Right, hopefully. It's not gonna increase
System
their-
development
their
fees as your piggy bank to, correct or maintain pump stations that
Right.
we get, and sewer lines and water lines that we are, when new development comes along, they dedicate those things to us, we have to maintain them. So that's what the system development fees, and that's why the study is done, because if we get more pump stations online, then our debt and things increase, so we have to, that number will probably increase.
Yeah.
And I think that Representative Penny, when he was here, insinuated that the federal and state monies in terms of ARPA and things like that is drying up. So we won't see as much of that grant availability to pay for these much needed. So we're really at a great opportunity to take advantage of those grants for those projects, but that may not be the case moving forward.
What new development does is help us maintain older
Right.
pump stations.
Right.
That's what, because those new pump stations, hopefully, we won't need to maintain them as often for a number of years, but we have older pump stations, they need maintenance. We need to be able to pay for those. So that's what that fund's
Yeah.
for. This is just the cost of doing business.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so help me understand. Maybe I'm missing something, because if these costs are the FEMA schedule of equipment rates, that's what all municipalities are using to estimate what the costs are for taps.
So I don't
Like
I don't
Fuquay.
know.
Fuquay is
so
probably
I don't
the same
know how
number.
they came up with their and I've asked a couple of them and they don't know either.
But is it safe to assume that Fuquay has got the same cost because they're using the same schedule?
Their system development fees are much.
Okay, so I don't know how they came up with their regulatory or their tap fees.
Yeah.
We're saying that we're using the FEMA schedule to estimate the cost.
Yeah.
I don't know how they estimated their cost, and there's no like legislative authority saying
Right.
you have to use this
Right.
to come up with your cost.
And additionally, like you said, they're all individual. What your needs are
That's right.
Yeah.
are specific to what your needs are.
Yeah.
So here's my real question.
Okay.
Is certainly that not every municipality around here is losing $2,000 to $4,000 per tap. So is the system development fees what fills that gap between what we're charging for taps and what it's costing? Because if Fuquay is charging 2.5 times what we are, but their costs are the same, is Fuquay just losing $2,000 per new lot on taps, and we're losing $4,500?
I mean,
So do you have Fuquay's system development? Their system development fees aren't figured into that 3,700. That's
no.
just their tax.
This is just
It's just the
their
price
tap
of
fees.
the tap. But the system development fees that we collect and they collect, we use to help offset this cost of taps, or is everybody just losing money hand over fist on tapping stuff?
Really high system development fee.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it is, but their water and sewer tap, including their system development fee, is over $10,000.
Okay.
Okay, where ours is, I think, with our system development fee is like 4,600 or something like that.
That's what I'm trying to get the picture of, is are we losing $4,500 every time we tap, or are we losing $2,000? Because it sounds like the way you're describing it, to justify the cost, is that with system development fees included, Fuquay's covered for their expenses. We are not. And we can't adjust. We can't adjust system development right now. And we can adjust tap fees, but not enough to recover all of that. I mean, even if we doubled ours, which is just a guess that looks kind of in line with everyone else.
So, I mean, if we increased our regulatory fees or tap fees, whatever you want to call them, that is covering our, obviously our expense, our manpower to go out there and make the tap.
Yeah.
Materials we have to buy.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's all we can ask for is to break even, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
On that situation. You also got to think, these developers that are coming in, building these subdivisions, we're not actually going out and making the taps there. They're making the taps, they're putting those in, but.
Are they paying the same
recouping
fees?
We're recouping some of that money we
Okay.
lost because we actually don't have to do the work.
Right.
Okay, so for Fuquay, I'm gonna need some. It's basically $8,000 just their system development fee.
Mhm.
That doesn't include your meter. It doesn't include your tap.
Mhm.
None of that. So it's $39.12 for a water system development fee and $38.91.
Yeah.
So we're at $27.61. They're at $8,000 on
Yeah.
the system development fee.
Mhm.
So you could be right that they made a executive decision to charge a lower regulatory tap fee
Mhm.
because they're getting so much in system development fees.
Mhm. But we can't really go much above what surrounding areas are on tap fees to try to.
Well, so you could look at it this way. So if you're a home builder, if you're a home builder, do you want to go to the most expensive town or do you want to go to the cheapest town?
Well, sure, we're the
Well,
cheapest.
well,
town
we
for
know
sure.
the answer to that
And
question.
so people have been flooding Anger, right? Because
Yeah.
our fees are very low. So you all identified responsibly
Yeah.
managed residential growth. So
So if we triple
could
our
be-
tap
This
fees,
is the time we need to do.
if we
what
triple
need to
our
do.
tap fees, Elizabeth and Jeff, let's say, all right, we could justify it. We're going to
Right.
triple the tap fee. I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm just throwing something out there. What's the impact of that? Slowing growth? I'm not saying whether or not that's good or bad. I'm just asking, if we increase our fees, If we go up 2,000, if we go up 2,000 on this and 500 on that and 400 on that, and all of a sudden it costs 4,000 more per house in fees to build houses. Yeah.
Okay.
It would still be attractive. Now they would put that money, that would put that into the price of the house, which might in turn drive more townhomes than single family to be more profitable. Higher density.
Well, just higher rate, higher sales.
Yeah.
You know, the increased cost of house.
Yeah.
So just for comparison, okay, you have to buy a tap, you have to pay your
Right now
water
they're
sewer
just
tap
paying
fee, and you
more
have to
money.
pay your system development fees and your meter fee. So right now, Anger, all of that is like $4,200.
Yeah.
All of that in Lillington is $11,000.
Yeah.
They have 20,000 homes on the books.
Yeah.
So it doesn't appear that anybody's blinking an eye at paying
Yeah.
$7,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can help answer your question. Even if we go off with these fees and triple them, the total bill for each lot these people are getting are still going to be comparative to other areas.
Okay.
So it's not like we're driving them out going, oh, we're charging 20,000, whereas
Yeah.
we're just meeting, we're increasing these. They may be higher, but the total bill is still going to be comparative.
So we're not any less attractive.
Well,
Okay.
And remember what Brandon said, we're not doing these 4,000, we're not doing all these taps.
Yeah.
Developers are.
Yeah.
This is just a fee that we collect to have the privilege to tap into our system.
Okay.
And
That's
you're
really
right.
what-
It is a privilege.
It is a privilege.
It will
I
be
like
in 2
that,
years.
Jeff.
And then the other fees are fees that we have to collect just to maintain our system.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one, you're coming to Andrew, great. We would like you to be here. You have to pay your fair share.
Mhm.
What is your fair share? We're going to
Mhm.
determine that. Town staff is not doing these 4,000 taps.
Yeah.
Or 400 taps. Developers are, but when we do, Brandon probably can tell you how many we do a year.
Mhm.
That town does.
Mhm.
It's probably less than 100.
Yeah.
I mean, so
It would be
all-
outside of a large development.
all those fees that we collect help us maintain staff and equipment and
Yeah.
other things that maintains the system.
And it helps take the burden off current residents.
Absolutely, yeah. When we have, if there's a
And
all
or
the
our
water
general fund.
system development increases, core system, projects, the water tank.
Yeah.
We don't have to increase fees to our current residents
Yeah.
to pay for some of those bills that we will have.
Mhm.
I'm glad Jeff said that because all over North Carolina, every infrastructure project is coming in over engineer estimate.
Mhm.
So while we have a lot of money from the General Assembly to pay for these projects, it's not a guarantee that it is going to be 100% covered. The way that we did our water and sewer budget, they have to balance, right? So your revenues collected have to equal your expenditures. If we don't change these fees to this amount, we're in the negative, we're in the red, and I'll have to go back and either they won't get a person, they won't get
Yeah.
choices will have to be made.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it seems easy to justify because we stay in line. Yeah. Well, we don't want that. What I don't want to do is have new growth burden
Well,
people
so
that are already
these
here.
fees, if you already live here,
Yeah.
these fees don't matter to you.
Right.
Well, and additionally, like you said about water rates, that was already decided not increased to meet the demand. So we're already
Yeah, I want to
set
ask that
behind
question
with that
too.
as
I
well.
don't know
So
if we're
that's
there yet or not.
that's a whole other.
Go ahead and ask your question.
What she said. How are we doing on water versus what we charge for water and what we pay for water? Are we breaking even? Are we losing money
We're
on
losing
water?
money.
Right.
So
We knew that. I mean, you knew that before it even.
Yeah. So are we planning to address?
So we are planning
that?
to address.
Okay.
I don't have the financials to give you the breakdown, but the CPI released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics for water, sewer, trash is 5.5%. So like Carolina, you'll hear a proposal about Carolina trash. Our contract says it goes up by the CPI, the water, sewer, trash CPI every year. So my recommendation to y'all is this is a federally determined number.
Yeah.
Is that you go up by what the CPI is.
Well, we need to at least start with breaking even. I don't know if that CPI covers that. We need to at least,
Yeah.
we don't need to make a ton of money off of water, but we can't be subsidizing water.
Right. Okay. So any more
how
questions?
that increases.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing how that increases.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we went over that. Okay, so one last thing I want to say is that we know that grant and 0% loan funding is really important to the town. It leverages taxpayer dollars to be able to be spent on other items. So we are going to continue to look for grants, just like this morning. We have the potential to get money for mitigation measure 1 and 2. I believe it's from Golden Leaf. Since July 2023, the town has been awarded $2,056,000. The lead and copper line replacement grant is $2 million. It's a 0% loan, and it's forgivable. We got $50,000 from Senator Bergen, and we received a grant from Harnett County Arts Council, $6,000 to put on the Common Ground concerts. So what questions can I answer today? How would you like to move forward? Would you like to have another formal meeting? Do you all want to have 2x2x1s where 2 of you come in, and then 1 of you comes in? The manager's recommended budget is going to be presented on May 21st, so we have to make some decisions in the next couple weeks.
Do we not have another meeting scheduled?
No, we don't.
We couldn't decide.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously don't think this is the end of the
No,
conversation,
it's
so
not. This is the beginning of the conversation.
If it's necessary that we just do
Yeah, we
do
can
whatever
meet
the
you. We
board
can
is-
meet you 2 at a time. But yeah, that I don't know.
That's not my preferred method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is a method that is available.
Well, let's see if we can find a date and all get together again
Okay.
when we have some of these numbers that haven't been released yet. At the end of April or whatever. Because I hesitate to make decisions on some of this stuff. Some of the stuff's pretty straightforward already. The tap fee seems pretty straightforward. A lot of this does.
This is a priority for me. So whatever needs to happen, make this continue is
Okay.
I'm going to do. So this is the preferred method right here.
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
You tell me, ma'am.
Do we know what we need more clarification on right now that you could be working on?
So at the next meeting, you'll have all of the spreadsheets. You'll see all of the numbers by line item.
Mhm.
In my opinion, it's too early to put that out there because there's too many numbers still in
Mhm.
flux. The intergovernmental revenues, in another month, I'll have a better sense of sales tax projections. But we do have all of the spreadsheets ready.
So I'm just going through your slides, and I don't know how much guidance you need right now. I'll speak for myself and say I'm okay with leaving the tax rate alone. I'm scrolling through this.
That's really the biggest question is remaining at 49 cents.
I don't want to increase it, and because there's a lot of stuff we want to do, I'm not interested right now to decrease it. We have a lot of stuff that we want to fund and be able to do and continue to do.
And I think until we have a commercial base that's a little bit more closer to us in terms of when it's going to be happening, that a reduction really isn't feasible.
Yeah. The long-term plan will focus the money on encouraging that commercial development, and in turn, the commercial can help take the burden off property tax, stuff like that. I think the tap fees need to go up for sure. How much? Give us some recommendations. I don't want to just throw a number out there, but
Okay. Then if that's what the board want, Brandon can present his breakdown of the fees of where he came up with the numbers, but your water and sewer fund's in the negative at 1,800.
Yeah.
Well,
we know the fees need to go up as much as we could justify how I feel about it.
We can justify quite a big jump. So I don't think it's about justification. I don't think it's about justification. It's just a matter of what we're willing to do. But
Yeah. Their Fuquay's total is about 37, and our total is about 1,500.
because it's the two sides,
Mhm.
water and sewer.
And their system development fee is 8,000, whereas ours is 2671.
Right.
So theirs could be artificially low.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So 3,600 total.
We take your expert
Are you going to
advice.
go more into what would? You're going to go more into that later.
Breakdown. Yeah, I did too. but
Okay.
I don't have a breakdown of the cost with me, but we can at a later
Yeah.
date.
I don't want to go crazy with it. I don't want to charge like 6, because that's insane. But if we could do 45 or 5, you know.
The developers are just looking at the total cost. They don't
Right.
care what it's named.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
They're looking at how much it's gonna cost them.
Because it's still, even if it is $6,000, even if it's $6,350, which is very close to what it costs, to $2,500 in system development, it's still only $8,000 compared to 11 in Lillington. They got 900 home subdivision, and then Fuquay, which is just like,
And Lillington is at a budget retreat today also, and I expect that their fees are going to go up pretty
Yeah.
tremendously.
I'm
'cause-
not opposed to it covering every dollar that it costs the town. Every dollar.
And we really need to strongly consider that because again, this fund cannot lose money.
Right.
By general statute.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And you're already saying it is. Listen,
Yes, and we can't transfer money from our general fund. It
Mhm.
has to be self-sufficient every single year.
But this is a pretty good way to do it and not affect anybody that already lives there.
Right. Right. And
That's
we
true.
know that the burden that is on the town of the necessities is because of the new. It's not because of the old. So knowing that, I mean, why would we not share that burden? Not necessarily on the people, but on the developers that are taxing the land.
It may slightly increase that home value, but I wouldn't imagine that. So it's not the residents moving in, it's just on the people building.
Which,
Yeah.
you know, the builders might inflate the cost of their houses by $5,000. Whether or not that slows them down is market driven. So,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
the developers are not just going to roll over and say, well, I guess we got to eat another $5,000 a house. No, they're going to say, guess what? We're pushing
Yeah.
all the houses up
Right.
5-10 grand. And that's not, I doubt they'll stop selling them. Because that's like 1% of what they're selling them for right now.
Oh, I mean,
Well, let's go up on those fees for sure. And we need to visit the water
Flat rate.
rates and yeah, right, at least flat rate. And I'm fine with flat rate personally. I don't know that we need to go over. I'm totally fine with breaking even on that.
we're going to have to incrementally climb like that to make sure that we're keeping up.
Yeah.
So that it's not a 20% jump.
Yeah.
And we have to make that change.
just like we
because
saw
we
with the
didn't
property
change
values.
5.5% over the past 5 years.
Right. Okay.
Anybody else want to say anything other than
You covered it.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
fees
I
look
agree.
like our
We
biggest
definitely need to go up on
opportunity.
this stuff. I mean, that's a given.
Mhm.
I didn't realize we were that low.
Yeah.
And no change in 12 years. That's another, I mean, I think
That's,
anybody
that's what's been getting us on
anybody
everything.
could say that that
Not
doesn't
just
make
us, but-
business sense. You haven't changed your fee
Yeah.
in 12 years. So
At least 12 years.
at least 12 years, right?
Okay, so let's increase that.
I'm going to try really hard
substantially.
not to think about that.
Is that enough direction for now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think so.
Is there anything else that you feel like you are lacking direction on right now that we could weigh in on in this
I
section?
think, no, I think that when the more specific proposals come before you, you
Okay.
can say, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't like that. And then
Okay.
I'll be able to adjust my numbers accordingly.
Okay.
And I think the plan that we have with the league for grants, we might see an increase in our grant funding as well with that opportunity. So I'm excited about it.
Right. Oh, I
Thank
think
you.
I have the next item too. Do I? No. Oh. Oh, there is no slide for Harnett County grant. Okay, so Senator Bergen was able to secure $50,000 for the town again. And so we need to be able to tell the county what you all would like to spend that money on. So they're waiting for our scope of work. So we are seeking guidance from you on how you wish to spend this $50,000.
Are there restrictions on that we need to consider?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to be a public benefit and it has to be in Harnett County.
Yeah. The previous 50 was spent on the police training
Munitions
facility.
training facility. That's right.
And there was a previous plan with that 50 that was changed.
I'd like to see it go towards a Veterans Park.
Okay.
I'm curious to know what Veterans Park would cost
Uh-huh.
to see if that'll cover it.
Okay.
I know there's been different iterations of plans. The last one you described to me seemed pretty affordable.
Yep.
And then the location.
Well, right there, based on.
We got to sort out where and what it costs, and maybe this could cover that in a perfect world. Because I know that's been something that's been talked about for years.
Yep.
Easy
Well,
to
I know
justify
for-
as a public benefit.
Yep.
I know a lot of people want to donate to it. We got different organizations
Yeah.
that want to donate money towards it, and so we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. 1 year.
Which is
1 year.
has to be finished and spent within 1 year from what point? Have we accepted? Have we started that clock yet? Okay, so we haven't started that clock yet.
Right.
So we have time to plan how we're going to spend it, present it, they approve it,
And if
and then by that point we'll be ready to complete that project within a year anyway. Okay. That's the first thing that pops
we
into
have
my
a
head.
very active military and veteran
Yes,
community,
Mhm.
we do.
and it's only increasing because of our proximity to
Mhm. Fort
various
Liberty and-
military
yeah.
relations. So yeah, if there was a preliminary plan or something like that, I don't know if you know that right off the top of your head. I would like to explore that as an opportunity.
Yeah. The last one that Jim described to me was a series of statues or
Mhm.
sculptures or something like that. Not necessarily a big wall with a bunch of names
Right.
in it, which sounds really
It actually
affordable.
covers not just the military, it covers the police department,
Yeah.
first responders,
Mhm.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
Because they're always left out of
Yeah.
out of the spectrum of everything. So I'd like to incorporate all that into one park.
Yeah. So there's a ton of ways we could spend that money. I like that one because it seems like we might be able to knock it out
Sure.
with that and maybe supplementing donations or something like that.
Mhm.
Seems really clean and easy to pat ourselves on the back with that grant. You know what I mean?
Pat them on the back.
Pat
They're the
everybody on
ones
the
that
back. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, if that's what you want me
How
to
about
bring
you
back
two down there again?
Yeah, y'all didn't.
Say so in that.
Or other ideas too. I mean, I just don't know. 50 grand's a lot of money compared. Yeah. That's what I can't figure out, right? Like, you could spend it in downtown, but how far does 50
sign,
grand go in
the
downtown?
electronic sign.
Sign maybe.
We've already got a funding, another,
Okay.
or you've got another avenue for funding
Sure.
that. It was committed and ready to write that check.
Right.
So
That's the best idea I have.
I think because this idea has been around a little while, I think we should probably follow through with that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So
get us.
I like that.
okay. All right. Well, I think it's Brandon.
Green sleeve or something. You got all those.
Of this, but that way, if you want to write notes, probably take these on there or
You got a pen for me or some star stickers, smiley faces? No stickers? All right, Elizabeth, make sure he brings some stickers for us next time when he brings us a book.
Gary did it up today. You kind of seen that with Gary, right?
I know, he has set the
And
standard.
if you'll pay attention, we're relating some of that to Gary's presentation with us.
All right, fine, I'll pay attention if you insist.
They may have some at the library. You can maybe go ask.
Oh, you know what? Somebody could just leave. Do you mind? No, don't.
Too far.
All right, so you guys bear with me. This is my first budget process. And,
Mine too.
Shadow Jimmy, so he's kind of walked me through this. So maybe going forward we can.
You got it,
be able to
man.
Handle this next.
If I could do it, you could do it.
Yep. We want to start with just doing an overview of Public Works, kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we do on a daily basis. Some of you are aware of some of the things, some of you may not be. So, obviously, we run our water department, sewer department. All of our new construction utility inspections, that consists of all the water and sewer that go in the ground for these new construction projects. We have to go out in the field. We have to inspect those. There's certain tests that have to be performed on those. So we do all of that as well. Along with that is every home that's built, there's a site CO done on that home. So we go out and do the site CO, make sure that the property is to the town of Banger's specifications. Okay. Along with that, we run our streets department. We have 12 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, or a position available for a part-time employee, and we have a new project manager. So, let's see, next slide. So a few things about our water department. We maintain about 67 miles of water main, and we purchase about 20 million gallons of water from Harnett County each month. We operate and maintain 3 water tanks, a booster pump station, and as y'all know, we've got the new water tank under design along with the booster station that's going to come along with that. So, Door Street water tank, that's a 100,000 gallon water tank. Kenny Beck Church Road, that's a 250, and Junie Road water tank, a 750. That one will be decommissioned when the new water tank comes up. Hopefully, that's the plan. And then the under design Junie Road water tank that will have a 500,000 gallon capacity.
So, just dumb question.
Yep.
You probably know the answer right away. I'm just doing the mathematics in my head. And
Yes, sir.
we build the new 500 and we take 850 offline. Are those numbers that important? I mean, capacity still plenty, I imagine. We wouldn't be doing
It is. So the state requires us to have a half a day's consumption of storage.
Okay.
So if our average daily consumption is 300,000 gallons, then
Okay.
we have to have 150 gallons of storage
Okay.
available.
And we can figure
So
average
we're well above
daily
that
usage.
with that
Okay.
new tank. Yeah. Here's just a slide with the water tanks that we have in service right now. Door Street water tank, it was built in 1936. It's still, still provides quality drinking water to our customers. It's been here a long time. We've obviously got to upgrade it. It's not large enough. So, Junie Road water tank, that's a tank that needs to go away. The standpipe design is a terrible design for water quality and things of that nature. So,
How old is that?
I think it was built in the 70s, late 60s, 70s. Is that correct? I think so. Yep.
If you'll notice when we talk about water quality too, so with that 750,000 gallon tank, it's hard to get it to turn over during the summertime. And staff is monitoring it all the time, so that's why you may see when you come by, you may see a blue hose laying out there. Sometimes we got to drain that tank just to keep the water turned over.
So very inefficient. So while it might be 750,000,
It's a maintenance nightmare.
not a very efficient.
Right. Yep.
Got it.
All right. So some additional duties of our water department. We read and maintain 4,127 water meters right now. With that, before we invested in the radio read meter system that we have now, it took 6 guys, approximately 3 days, which is about 144 man hours to read all those meters. So we invested a lot of money in changing all those out to this radio read system, and as of right now, it takes 1 guy about 8 hours. So it's gone from 144 man hours to about 8. So,
Are they all radio right now?
yes, they're all radio now. So it's a huge benefit for our department.
We actually saved a ton of money by doing that all ourselves. We had companies that would come in and say, we'll change them out for you. It'll cost $1 million. We'll do it.
Right.
But we took on that ourselves, and we worked on whether we rented the plasma cutter to cut the metal so we could put the antennas on.
Yeah.
But we did all that internally and saved the town.
How long did that take?
It took us about a year. We've probably been doing radio reads for about 15 years now. So when the ready to reads first came out, we required all new construction to have those. And then when we had money left over from our water tank, we actually, from the Kennebec, we took those leftover funds and invested them into water meter purchases, and that's how we were able to get everything changed over within probably 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
It's less time than I thought it would have taken you to do it.
8 hours to read, 4,200 meters.
Yeah. They just drive by and it picks it up. That's cool.
Luckily, we didn't have that explosion of development going on while we were doing that, or it probably wouldn't have been. We
Yeah,
wouldn't have
wouldn't have had
been
the-
in-house.
the-
So
yeah.
we caught that at the right time. So we also make all water taps for infield lots as of right now. We are looking at changing a policy to include out-of-town houses as well. So that wouldn't be for developments. That would be for anything that's not like a single-family home. And that'll help, bring some revenue to our department as well. And I think we're going to present that. You're going to present that policy change here shortly. Compliance, monitoring, and sampling. Obviously, we have to abide by state regulations for all of our monitoring and sampling. With that, we have weekly sites that we have to go to and monitor our chlorine residuals, things of that nature. We have quarterly THM samples that have to be sampled, and lead and copper samples once every 3 years. Asbestos samples once every 7 years, and USMR samples, which is something that's new that's come out. That's this big PFAS thing that you're hearing about a lot. So the EPA is requiring us to sample that as well. So just routine maintenance requirements from the state that puts a strain on our staff. We have to have staff to be able to do all these things. That's kind of what I'm getting toward.
Brandon, when you talk about your lead and copper samples that you take, we just reassure the board and the public that as long as we've been taking them, we have not had any issues come back with the lead and copper.
That's right.
And then with the lead and copper projects that we're getting ready, the lead and copper inventory that we're getting ready to do, will you explain a little bit?
Yeah, so EPA has come down with what they're going to require every municipality, every town across America to do a lead service line inventory. And what that's going to entail is to go through our system and identify every service line to every home to make sure that there's no lead components in it.
How do you do that?
It's going to be a process. So
you're not going to take the whole thing up and look at it. Huh?
So anything built after 1987,
sure,
there was no lead law put into place. So we know we can eliminate everything that was built after 1987 has no lead in it. Everything prior to that, we know some areas that we've replaced. Obviously, we'll eliminate those, but their requirement is to go 18 inches on both sides of the service line where the meter is, on the town side and the customer side, expose it and identify that it's not a lead line.
Okay.
So
now, is that also for commercial?
Say again?
Is that also for the old commercial
every
building?
Single service line that we have.
Every tap.
Every tap. So, and that's what that grant that we received for the, it was 1 point?
So it's 1.2 in forgivable loan, and then the rest is $7.99, whatever, is a 0% interest rate.
Right. So that's what that money will be used for, to identify.
Just to identify, or identify and replace when found?
That's just to identify, I think. Is that identify and replace? I don't think that's to replace. Is it both? Okay. So we're still in the process of ironing all those things out. So when we get more information on it, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We also run backflow cross connection program. We've had that ordinance in place since I think 2005. We really started implementing our program back in 2018. So that what our backflow cross connection program is it protects our water system. If you've got places like dialysis and fire sprinkler systems where water sits in these lines for long periods of time and doesn't get turned over, it prevents that water from being back siphoned or getting in your potable water system. So it's really important to run and maintain this program to provide quality drinking water to your residents. All right, sewer department. So we maintain 32 miles of sewer line. We send approximately 18 million gallons of wastewater to Harnett County every month for treatment. And we operate and maintain 12 sewer pump stations. And with those pump stations, that consist of duplex pumps, which is 2 pumps, controls to run all those pumps, and backup generators. So all that stuff has to be maintained. You know, we have to go out there, and you guys get that in your staff report. We have to go out there monthly. We visit the sites twice a week. And then monthly we do a service. We go out, maintain wet wells, you know, float, switches, make sure everything's working like it's supposed to work.
You also got SCADA systems on your
We do.
stations too, right?
We do. So with the SCADA systems, we can watch these pump stations 24 hours a day. So if there's an issue there, we'll get a call and we can pull it up on our iPhones or computers and see pumps run and see generators run and make sure everything's working like it's supposed to. All right, we operate and maintain a 136-acre wastewater treatment facility that consists of an 8-acre lagoon and 5 irrigation fields. We hope to soon see that go away. We're working with the state right now to decommission that for the future park. So the spray fields will go away. The 8-acre lagoon will stay part of our collection system. So we're, like I said, we're in the process of doing that. We'll keep you updated on that progress. Yep, go ahead.
One thing about with our pump stations, so we don't budget a pump in there. So, but if we have an emergency and we have to go replace a pump may be anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000. But we don't put that in our budget. But if that happens, then we're going to have to come back for the manager, come back for you to do a budget amendment for that. So when you look through, when you start looking at the line items, our equipment maintenance is there just for our regular routine maintenance. Anything out of the ordinary, we don't plan for. So
Right.
we hope that does not happen.
That's right.
If that happens, does that come out of the enterprise fund or the general fund? Okay. So still we have to make sure that money's there.
So there's a fund balance for the general fund and then also a fund balance for water and sewer fund. So in an instance like that, we would probably do a budget amendment to pull from the water and sewer fund balance to pay
Okay.
for that unexpected expense.
So another reason that we need to make sure we keep that fund up.
Making money, yeah.
Okay.
Very important. All right, moving along, we provide sewer taps for new construction. That's, again, all the infield lots. And then, obviously, we make sewer main and service repairs. So that's just part of our sewer department and some of the things that we do. Do you want to hit on the $50,000 that we put in capital outlay for the decommissioning of the lagoon in that lagoon department?
Yes, so we're still in the process of talking back and forth with the state what the requirement is to decommission the spray fields. So, and convert the lagoon into our collection system. So our thoughts internally is with the pumps we have, we may have to change those pumps out, tie into an existing gravity, which some of that stuff we can do in-house, but we may have to have it engineered, may have to have smaller pumps or reducing gears or something like that. So that's why we put that in there, because we don't know exactly what it's going to cost to be able to do that. Now, whenever we decommission the plant out there at Smith Drive, the only thing that we were required to do was basically clean all the basins and have them basically just like they were brand new. All that was cleaned, all that solids were removed, and we had to disconnect the effluent discharge line. And I took pictures of all that, sent that to the state, and they were fine. So hopefully we're not going to have to clean out the lagoon.
Right.
That would be astronomical.
Yeah,
So
that'd be expensive.
Our preference is not to do that. So, but we put that money in there just to figure out. Hopefully it's just a matter of doing some internal piping and things like that.
Okay.
All right, some of our daily operations of our sewer department, obviously sewer maintenance, we provide our residents with 24-hour drain cleaning service. So, you know, if somebody calls at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night and they have a sewer backup, our own call guy responds to that and we go out there and take care of it. So, again, it's strain on our department. We have to have employees to make this stuff happen and to be, provide quality services to our residents. We already hit on the 24-hour monitoring of the pump stations and the new sewer taps. So locate request. This has become a huge strain on our department. With all this growth that we've got coming in, from start to finish. So as soon as the developer gets out there, they're calling in locate requests to locate existing utilities. So we have to go out there in the initial development stage, and as that project's going on and when the houses start to be built, we have to, when they pour the first slab, they call in a locate. When the plumber ties in to the utilities that were put there, we have to go out and respond to a locate. When the power's put into the subdivision, we have to go out and respond to a locate ticket. When telecommunications are put in, we have to respond to a locate ticket. Gas put in, same thing. So every house that's being built, we have to respond probably 10 times to every house. On average right now, we're at like 30 tickets a day, 29 tickets a day, about 900 tickets a month.
Is that high?
Well, it's high because
it's high, but I mean,
of all
is
the
it
growth and all the building going on? So it's just something that we have to do.
And there's a lot of requirements too, because even when a locate is done, it expires.
Right.
So it's not like they can do one locate for the duration of constructing a house.
Right. To do it.
And then even after it's marked, that marking expires.
That's right. After 15 working days, if the work hasn't completed,
Mm-hmm.
they have to update the ticket, and then you have
They
to
got to do it
back
again.
out
Do
and
it again.
make sure.
It doesn't cost the builders anything.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly. It doesn't cost the builders. So just an example of, the strain on the staff. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to get toward. It's really a full-time job for one guy just to respond to these tickets on a daily basis. All right, so new construction utility inspections, another huge strain. I mean, obviously with all the construction going on, from start to finish, when water lines start going in the ground and sewer lines start going in the ground, we have, it's really a couple of guys within our department, myself and Dalton, our supervisor. We put our eyes on every sewer line, every water line, to make sure that they're put in per the town of Andrews standards. Okay. We have created a public utilities inspector position within our department, and we're going to try to specialize him in doing just this all the time to take a little bit of the strain off of myself and Dalton to do some other things that need to be done within the department. So
That's an in-house train or a new
that
hire?
It is. It's
Okay.
in-house. Yeah. So nothing changes as far as salaries or anything of that nature.
Yeah, so it wasn't like an additional position. It was a change of job duties and responsibilities.
Right.
Last year, we implemented an inspection fee per linear foot of public infrastructure. That was something that other towns collect. We never did. So we started collecting that, and it's substantial.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I can hit on those numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
so we implemented the rate of $2 per linear foot for every sewer line, $2 a linear foot for every water line, and $2 a linear foot for the amount of linear feet of streets. So, just for example, I think Highland Ridge subdivision out here, they had, I want to say 15,000 linear feet of just force main. So at $2 a linear foot, that's $30,000 for just one subdivision. Okay, and that's not counting the gravity sewer or the water lines. I mean, there's $100,000 worth of revenue that we were losing that we're now gaining. So,
Well, if you look at the first and second slide there, you can see the water service line there. So a lot of times, what we'll do is they're supposed to have a tracer wire with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go out there and make sure that they've got a tracer wire with that, and make sure that tracer wire is with the water line, not 3 feet off.
Uh-huh.
Because if we go and mark where the tracer wire is,
Yeah.
the water line's off, when it gets back to the locate, if our locate is off based on
Yeah.
the size of the utility, then we may not be able to charge that
Yeah.
developer
What's the margin for error? A foot each side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hit on the utility inspections already a little bit, but and then the CO stage of the home build, so we go out and do a site inspection. So that's Mark Guyton is doing all of that now. He's scheduled to retire in January, so that's going to be, that's a half a day's work every single day for one employee. So we've got to be able to fill that void when he's gone.
When we do our final site COs, so we've looked at this property several times before we actually give a site CO. Site CO is different from a CO that a house CO that Jeff gives. So when we go out there, we look at the curb, make sure the curb's not cracked, make sure the sidewalk's not cracked. We TV the sewer lateral to make sure that nothing has been damaged or there's no debris in there, so later on the homeowner comes back and they can't flush the commode. And this started probably 8 or 10 years ago, when prior to us doing that we had a homeowner had a problem with sewer backup, and we finally got our camera down there, and the lateral had been broke. So during the time, the subcontractors probably come in there and either drove over the sewer stack or dropped lumber on there and broke those things. Now we catch that up front. So when you move into a house, all our utilities and everything has been put into our spec system. That way we don't see any issues.
All right, a few things about our street department. We maintain 33.39 miles of streets within the town limits. We provide services to remove leaves, limbs, and household debris on a weekly basis. Obviously with all the new homes, all the new streets, we've got more houses to visit, more streets to maintain. So more employees it takes to maintain it.
Do you have with the increase in developments, do you have an idea about what it would be at the end of that? I mean, once the developments are done, like what number might increase to? I got just a projection.
Record right now.
Yeah.
Miles of streets, we don't have that number.
Okay. No. It would be no. It's all right. I just was for.
I think we projected for water and sewer. I projected $150,000 divided by 2, so that would be 75,000 linear foot of new water and sewer, and that's probably about the same amount for streets. I would think, because water and sewer is within the street, so it'd be close to that number. We also household debris on a weekly basis. Streets department, we maintain storm drainage and ditches within the right of way. We're constantly, every time it rains, we're constantly getting calls. We need this ditch cleaned. So we try to keep that up on when we get those requests. And we provide services for weekly trash and recycle pickup, but obviously that's contracted to Carolina Trash, so they help us with that. Weekly operations of our street department. So on a weekly basis, our household limb removal. We get around the town. We ask our residents to put those items out by the street on Mondays, and we visit or run our route every week. Unless something really gets in the way as far as weather or something of that nature, we do our due diligence to get that done every week. The same with leaf removal as well. So summertime it becomes grass removal, but fall it's leaf removal.
I think some of you have asked, why don't we have a set schedule? We'll give you an example why we don't have a set schedule. Okay, so if it rains today, our guys can't get into the landfill. Right. So he may run household the next day after it stops raining. He can get into the disposal because all that's on concrete. But Friday afternoon, if he gets through with limbs, if he's only got half a load, he'll start back on Monday with limbs. So that way he's not taking half a load to the landfill and burning gas and fuel with that. So that's why. But we just tell all the residents, make sure it's out there by 7 a.m. Monday morning, and it'll be picked up that week. So, and that's and usually when we get those phone calls, which we don't get a whole lot of those, we may have one a week, and we explain that to them, then they understand.
Yeah, a lot of the other municipalities, they have a call-in system or whatever that they use, but we kind of looked at that and don't think that's...
As small as we are, we felt like it was just more proficient just to keep running the whole route to all of the whole town. So we
Yeah.
go by your house.
And if somebody gets missed for a week or two because they're in an area that you don't patrol, they call me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got good drivers, so
Yeah.
he knows the route well. He's been here 25 years, so, you know, he knows where the streets
This
are.
is very generous of the town. Some towns have started to charge like a fee for mattress, a fee for washer dryer. We implemented that in Catawba. The neighboring community of Claremont did that. So we're providing above and beyond service to the residents for doing this.
And that may be something we need to look into later on down the road.
I was gonna,
you know.
because
I mean, right now, I
just
think we're able to provide this service for no charge, but, you know, obviously with the growth, you know,
But it's-
become more strain on our department. So.
I mean, very technically, it's not at no charge. It's just
Yeah,
that,
true.
you know,
Right.
Yeah.
you're not, right. You're not pushing that charge onto somebody else.
Well, and when you have new subdivisions come in, you'll have grass picked up. You shouldn't have a whole lot of leaves because they don't have a lot of trees. Most of the trees have been removed. When they move in, you know, you shouldn't have a lot of households. So we don't see as much leaves being picked up at the new subdivisions as we do in the core system.
Yeah. And if we could, you know, promote that commercial growth, you know, that's less strain on our department as well, because obviously we don't have to provide those services for them. All right, Jimmy, I'm gonna let you hit on this. So Carolina Trash, we got a couple options here for Carolina Trash going forward next year. So,
All right, so
and I can hand it. You want to give these out? Yes, sir.
So we would like for y'all to make a decision on this to help us firm up numbers within the budget.
All right, so the manager was approached by Carolina Trash back in March, and they were going to do the CPI rate increase, and that was going to be at 5.5%. And so we started running those numbers, and we have those before you. Then he came back a bit later on and asked a question, say, can we extend the contract one additional year, and we won't raise the rates. The rates will stay the same. Now, you are in year 3 of the 5-year contract. So year 4 will start July 1st. So there's 2 years basically remaining on the existing 5-year contract. I think general statute says you can go up to 2 additional years on a contract. Is that correct?
That's right for RFQ. In this particular contract that we have with Carolina, it gives the provision that we can extend for 2 years.
past the 5. Or past the 4.
So you'll be in year 4 July 1st. So you have 2 years left. So in other words, within, when we start the year 4, we would have to start sending out a request for proposals for if we wanted to bid this back out. So what we're looking at here is the 2 options that we need the board to make a decision on. So obviously, option number 1, if we did not want to extend our contract, then it would be a 5.5% increase, and we just figured that across the board. So we upped our rates 5.5% for our residents. We put that in the preliminary budget number. But if you decide to go with option 2, which is extend the contract for 1 more year, then our rates would pretty much stay the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to overwhelm you with a bunch of numbers. Everything, because we were figuring revenues and expenditures, so since we just threw it all in.
So it looks like if we don't extend it, it goes up 5.5, so you're looking about 15, 20 cents going up.
Then would we adjust our rates accordingly at the same time?
That is correct, yes, sir.
So you're looking for a decision from us, like right now, if we're going to extend that contract.
And they only asked for 1 instead of 2? Because they could ask for 2 years, but they only asked for 1. Was that offered to them, or did they?
1 year at a time.
time.
They offered that to, I was like, the contract is what it is, 5.5, right? And so they came back and offered that.
Alternative.
Offered that alternatively. So
not to be recouped, right? So they're not going to go up 11% next year because
correct.
it's a permanent foregoing that.
What the
Set.
annual CPI is,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. Would you guys like to discuss? I'm not sure I know what the pros and cons are of that decision. We have to revisit it. Yeah.
Right. So the option is we follow what the contract says and increase. They're going to increase their rates that they charge the town 5.5%. We would pass that on to the customer, or we can agree to a 1-year extension of that contract. And then when that contract is up, well, about a year before the contract is up, we would do a new request for proposals.
Unless they ask for another year extension.
Unless they ask for another year extension, and then that would come before you as that's like a lowest bidder situation. So whomever is the lowest bidder. We stay at the current rate this year. So so when we roll forward to next budget year, whatever the CPI was for 2024, that rate would then be applied to us then. So let's just say it stays around 5%. So next year, whenever those rates come out, I think it's in January, they'll say, per the contract, our rates are going to go up 5% based on the CPI.
So the 1 year no rate increase is only applicable to this
year. This
Which
coming
makes
year,
sense.
starting
And that
July.
makes
Yeah.
So
Well, I've been happy with their service at my house. Very small sample. Like,
I've been happy with the communication.
Mm.
yeah.
That's right. It's not an answer business.
I think their services are good. Have an app, which is cool, but they certainly put a lot back outside.
So I have had experience with a large nationwide provider, and I mean, I had a complaint like probably 4 times a month in a town of 700.
I mean,
So
you
think
can talk
about.
to our neighbors than they have.
Yeah.
I think that's probably
And
true.
additionally, you don't have to go through the request,
That whole process.
the whole process again, which I know is not so soon. It would be 5 years, but
But if we're happy with what we got so far, what's
It ain't
another
broke,
year?
I think we
fix
just
it.
need to send it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
and we, ultimately are. I guess the cost thing is where I'm hung up is like they're eating the cost increase. That wouldn't be on us because they're the contractor.
Correct.
So it's their loss essentially to not take that 5.5%. It's not a loss on us. That's okay. Okay, as long as that's how I'm understanding it, I'm also in favor of extension.
I guess I'll entertain a motion then, right? Okay. Somebody give it to me.
I make a motion that we extend our contract with Carolina Trash for an additional year. With
With
no
no
CPI increase.
All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Oh, it's fine, Jimmy.
Y'all are on the spot all day, so.
Good thing I wore my bow tie after all. I'll be making decisions today.
All right, so moving on to some requests of Public Works. All the things that I went through previously kind of boil down to this. We're asking for 2 additional employees. The total cost of that is $130,000.
That's salary and benefits.
Right, salary and benefits. So you guys probably ask, why do we need 2 additional employees? I think with what we just hit on, kind of gave you an overview of what we do and why we need additional help. With the continued growth, we've got 400 new homes projected maybe coming in the next year. All the things that come along with those 400 new homes, plan review, new construction inspections, and potentially 75,000 linear foot of new utilities. That's water, sewer, and streets, each one. So 4 new pump stations expected to come online next year with these subdivisions. So, you know, that's additional to the 12 that we already have in service. So obviously we have to maintain those. That takes staff. 400 new residents for leaf, limb, and household debris removal. So again, additional man hours, okay? You guys are probably wondering how we're going to pay for this. So,
Read my mind.
Yeah. So,
I like
that's
this.
Right.
That's good. And there's like pictures and stuff, and there's bubbles, and I like this. Who made this? Did you make this?
Brandon put all this together, so
Huh?
kudos to him. He did a
All right.
good job.
I like it. I'm engaged with it.
All right,
so
so
it's working.
400 new homes, right? So our flat rate water and sewer fee is $38.47. That revenue is totaling $15,400 a month, $184,000 a year. That's with 400 new homes. So that $184,000 a year we're gonna gain from water and sewer revenue. Our flat rate fee doesn't matter if they use a gallon of water or 2,000. We're gonna get that revenue from those 400 homes.
And then that 184 is in perpetuity. So that's not like a one-time hit.
Right.
That'll
It's
be additional
from
on those 400 homes.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. So that more than pays for the 2 additional staff members. Okay. What if we don't hit the 400 home mark? So we get 300 homes. Still, the flat rate fee's the same, $38.47. Monthly revenue, $11,541. Yearly revenue, $138,492. So you're still covering your 2 additional employees, even if we don't hit that projected 400 home mark. So there's some things to think about when approving our request there.
What if we build 200 homes and we only make 92,000? How do you recoup that? I'm just curious because you still got to pay the guys. Right. Where does the money come from to recoup that?
Well,
because it still has to come out of your fund.
So then you have to go back and you may have to increase your rates or whatever.
Okay.
Right now, we've got around 2,600 homes that we had approved sewer for that have not been COG. So a lot of these subdivisions are probably a 5-year build out. I think the one we talked about for Wimberley was built out in 2030. That was 300 some homes, and that's not even included on your 2,600 that you got shown. They just have got their sewer permit now.
So there's the $2 per linear foot of inspection fees.
That too.
If Brandon is saying 75,000 linear feet of utilities, that's $150,000.
Yeah.
And then another thing on top of that, we also have re-inspection fees that have been bringing in a good amount of revenue as well.
That's right.
Okay.
So there's some other things that's creating.
I gotta put you guys on the spot too.
Yeah. We could actually use 4, but we're not going.
Oh well, that's so nice of you guys. Oh wait, this says excavator on the next page here.
So we're going to get to our big ticket items.
Yeah, we have an employee coming up as well.
Yeah.
On the next page.
All right, so capital outlay item. So we are requesting a new excavator for our department. That excavator is a cost of $180,000. We kind of wanted to reference our strategic priority plan with this piece of equipment. One of those were to continue investments in our water system, stormwater, and traffic management. So with this piece of equipment, it's going to help us give continued service to our residents to be able to, maintain what we have in the ground, replace things that we have in the ground, and I'll get to some of these projects that we got coming up as well. And also referencing the strategic priority is operate as an excellent public service organization, invest in technology, invest in equipment, and invest in tools to improve our productivity. So this is going to be one of those items that help us do that.
Those are some of the things that when you're with Gary that you
Oh, I caught it.
So.
And now you're turning it against us.
y'all.
But that's okay.
That was my idea.
So we always, when we look at something, we look at how can we pay for this so we're just not asking.
Now, I know what happened is we put those stickers on there, and you guys looked at each other, and you were like, "We're gonna get a new toy."
All right, so I'm going to get into how we're going to pay for it. So I'm not just going to ask. I'm going to show you how we can pay for it.
All right.
All right. So why do we need a larger excavator? Obviously, as our growth continues, our staff are pulled in multiple directions to do different things, repairs of existing infrastructure. And, you know, if we got one job going on, we have one excavator right now and a backhoe that's, you know, very old, but we try to like to keep on site. But so if we got two projects going on at one time, we can only really handle one because we only have one piece of equipment to maintain it. Having a larger excavator will help our department take on more in-house projects. So some of those projects I've got listed out here: Lillington Street water line replacement, Church Street parking lot water line replacement, Fish Drive water line extension that's connecting two dead-end lines with a new subdivision line that was just put in for Honeycutt Oaks, tying some of those dead-end lines together to help our water quality and circulation of our water. Abandonment of the old 2-inch water line along West Church Street. And these are just a few of the several different projects that, you know, that we could take on. And then the Church Street, McGyver Street sewer line replacement that would go from Me Cancun Restaurant over to McGyver Street. Are a few of the projects, and I'll get into some numbers here in just a minute. But this is kind of what we're asking for.
Now, how large?
So it's still able to be towed by what we have at our department now. We've got a trailer. We wouldn't need a trailer or anything like that. It will be an A classification CDL, which we have employees that have our A CDLs to be able to move this around. It still have rubber tracks where it would be able to be moved on the pavement, things of that nature. So it's not something that you would see on a construction site where, you know, contractors use to put in water and sewer. It's still, you know, versatile to be able to use for our department, to use versatile things.
Repairs, or this one's heavy enough that if we need to set a manhole, if we were doing a sewer line repair, we could set concrete manholes with that. The other one is
too small.
Yeah, we have to hire someone to come in to set manholes if we need to because our machine won't pick it up. Okay. All right, so how are we going to pay for this, right? That's what everybody wonders. Just in the two projects that I mentioned, Lillington Street water line replacement that we're currently working on right now, we had a contractor estimate that cost at $200,000 to install that water line. Okay, the town estimated cost for the installation was $40,000. So in-house, we purchased the materials, and our staff is putting that water line in, you know, as we speak. Just in that one project, you've got a cost savings of $160,000. Okay, so, and then the estimated cost for the water line replacement along East Lillington Street and Broad Street over here where the proposed parking lot is that we talked about, or that we're going to talk about here shortly. The engineer's estimated cost on that water line replacement was $80,000. Town estimated cost was $20,000. So with that project right there alone, that's a $60,000 savings for the town if we take that on in-house.
Mm-hmm.
So just those two projects right there, you're looking at $220,000 of savings to be able to take those projects on in-house and not have to sub them out to a contractor.
So does the staff you have, and potentially the staff you're asking for, because we're talking about just a machine giving us the capability to save this much money.
Right.
But having the machine, is there enough staff, management capability to?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're managing it now. I mean, like just as I mentioned, the West Lillington Street water line replacement. So
because I don't want to get you a new toy and then you're like, well, now I need another guy to drive the thing. Otherwise, they're not going to save the money.
But
you
as
know?
we grow, we're obviously going to need more.
Well,
people.
sure,
I mean,
right.
You know, that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: is that the largest? We're not going to need something next size up, say next year or 2 years down.
So. I think this is going to suffice us for a long time.
Well, if you're going to buy it outright, that's what you're telling me is that this is.
That's what I want to get at. To maybe go up to the next size.
Well, if you go up to the next size, you're looking at
New
metal
trailer.
tracks.
Okay, that was my next question. Tractor trailer to pull it. Okay, that's why I want to make sure you got the largest one you can get without.
Yes, sir. So the trailer that we bought several years ago, it's 18 feet long and wide enough to handle this piece of equipment. And like Brandon said, we don't have to buy any additional equipment to tow it with. It's
Right.
just a straight purchase, no trailers, nothing
Gotcha.
else. with what we got.
Now, does that one also have capabilities for removing the bucket and put different
Yeah, we put
implements
all
on
those
it?
options added to the cost of this. Yep.
We end up, we put, it usually comes with a 3-foot bucket.
Right,
So a 3-foot bucket is probably what you need to use when you put it in sewer.
right.
So we just got 3-foot bucket, 2-foot bucket, 1-foot bucket, and a ditching bucket. So we can,
Mul-
And the cost of that is included in.
that's correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about
So
a breaker?
obviously- Sorry.
Do we need a breaker?
We've got a jackhammer.
We got guys. We got guys for
We got
that.
breakers.
Okay. I got one too if you need to borrow it.
And keep in mind, this piece of equipment is going to be used, for our water department, sewer department, and street department. So, the cost of that piece of equipment would be split 3 ways in 3 different departments. So,
So is an outright purchase the best way to do it?
That was
versus-
my next question.
Yeah.
Is it or cheaper to lease
or financing it or
lease finance or lease to own or something like that?
What I have done in the past has just been a straight purchase. So we had a 30-year-old backhoe, and we ended up buying, it's a 20-year-old backhoe now. So we just purchased it straight out. Excavator, skid steer, all the other equipment we did, we just purchased straight out. We don't use this every single day like you would putting in a subdivision. But we probably use it once or twice a week, so we don't put the hours and wear and tear on it as you would do with the other.
so what I think you're trying to say is, I think it's in our best interest probably to purchase it outright. I don't think, since we're not going to put the hours on it that a contractor would, I don't think the lease would be a.
What about a rental option? You don't want used equipment, trust me.
I don't know what'd be in the room. I mean, that's the only thing.
Right, you go to these sales, you don't know what you're getting when you get there.
Yeah.
Same thing with, we'll talk about our leaf truck. The leaf truck was bought in '07, and now you've got maintenance issues.
Yeah.
You got new equipment, you've got the warranty that comes with the new equipment, and, it is worth, not to say we're not open to looking at other options, but the straight purchase has worked.
Yeah.
Now, we're doing a lease program with pickup trucks, which is a good thing, because you
Turn them over.
turn them over? Yeah.
There's a lot of miles on those, yeah.
As far as construction equipment goes, people don't. If you have a piece of equipment and it's making money, it doesn't matter. You don't sell it until it's no longer making money. And I'm not interested in buying. Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm not interested in buying something that is not making somebody else money anymore.
And we put these pieces of equipment on a maintenance program too, whether it's a Caterpillar or if we decide to go with John Deere, whatever manufacturer we go with, they have GPS on them, so they're going to know when the oil needs to be changed, when the hydraulic oil needs to be changed. So the maintenance is kept up, to a T on these pieces of equipment. So as long as you maintain them, they'll last a long, long time.
You guys do all that in house? I'm just curious. I don't know the maintenance.
No.
Okay, I don't know. I didn't know.
That's a whole other department.
It's specialized,
Well,
more or less
when you
specialized.
get a cat, they require you to do an oil sample,
Mhm.
the oil's changed, so we just say, all right, you guys come.
Yeah.
Change the oil in it.
Okay.
So we don't have to, and that's part of the maintenance agreement that Brandon talked about, is they notify us like every 250 hours, it's time for an oil change.
Mhm.
All right, next 500 hours, it's time for a hydraulic change, and 750 is this, so we just have a maintenance agreement with them, and they, like I said, they track every hours is on the machine, they call us and set that up.
What's like? Do we need to factor in the maintenance cost of this, or is that already included in this, or what? Is that a significant enough number?
That ends up being somewhere around $3,000 a year.
Okay, so that's not necessarily.
And you have
significant.
storage for this. You don't need to build a new build.
We can find some storage, I think. Yeah.
Move all of Jimmy's junk. I don't want to.
We'll take Jimmy's truck out of the shop.
We'll put a building in next year.
Another reason to consider purchasing this outright rather than leasing or renting it is it immediately becomes a fixed asset of the town, where we're still making money off of it, but if it was leased or rented, it would be a liability that we would
Be able
owe
to-
on it, but we don't actually get any benefit.
Yeah.
Great point.
And the project, like I know the Lillington Street project is ongoing with the sidewalk.
Yes.
Is the line replacement on that lot going to happen regardless of what we decide to do with that lot, or will you have to wait on that to happen, like to decide what you're going to do before you make that change? I know with the downtown core replacement, that's obviously one of those places. So is that going to happen?
So we were going to move forward with the water line replacement when you guys approved the parking lot. I assume.
Right.
So if that parking lot's not approved, then I don't really see a need. That is still going to be on the core replacement project.
Right.
So either way, it's going to get replaced.
Right. That's my question is if you'll wait on that, because I know that obviously chopping up that dirt means it's accessible and easy, and that's when you would do it. But I guess my question is, because there's some question about how we may use that lot and what the time frame of that project is. Is that something y'all go ahead and do?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, regardless of what decision you make with the parking lot, it's still got to be replaced.
Right.
And I mean, it's already been designed. It's already permitted.
Right.
So all those things have already been done, and it needs to be replaced just to better our infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and like I said, this is just two project examples. There were several that I could list numbers out for that would more than pay for.
That just killed two birds with one stone for me because I had a question.
If we knew what Chrissy was going to say, we probably wouldn't have used that as an example.
Well, that's why these meetings are good.
That's
We all
right.
get on the same page.
You missed that part, Jimmy. I'll fill you in. All right. So next item. So any questions on the excavator? Are we good with that? Okay. So next thing we're looking at is replacing our old leaf truck. With the old leaf truck that we currently have, it's a 2007. It's constantly giving us maintenance issues, and we can't provide quality services to our residents. I mean, what it boils down to. What we've proposed is a lease on a new leaf truck. That lease costing $62,398 per year on that lease.
Versus a $370,000 straight purchase.
Right. And with a leaf truck that you use every week, 3 to 4 times a day, you're gonna put miles on it. I think the lease program with a piece of equipment like that is probably the best route to go. Unlike the excavator where you might use it, not once a week, something like that. It's a big difference. And along with that lease of the new truck, we would consider selling the old one. We've got a large one now, which is 2007, and then the smaller one. I don't see the need for 2 large ones, and the additional maintenance on the older one is just, it's not feasible.
The new one is the little one, right?
It is, yes, ma'am.
That was
Again, with reference to strategic priorities, you guys said it says operate as an excellent public service organization, invest in technology, equipment, and tools to improve productivity. So, that was something you guys decided on. So this is kind of hitting on that.
Well, thank you for
Yes,
helping
sir.
us with that. You
Kind
got
of hitting you on that. Why do we need a new vacuum truck? I hit you on that. Current truck's 18 years old, constantly dealing with mechanical issues, and the ultimate goal for a new truck is to provide town residents with consistent services with no downtime.
Now, would you replace it with the same size truck?
We would, yes, sir. Any questions on that? All good?
Well, you say you're going to sell the old truck, but like we just talked about, if it's making money or
But
if it's broke. So,
And-
you think, what would you, what kind of cost?
Well, we usually, when we sell our equipment, we usually put it on sale deals.
Yeah.
So it's just a bid process.
Right.
We've got some bids that we put, back during the pandemic, we put trucks on that we didn't think were worth nothing, and they would come back $5,000 or $6,000.
I wouldn't be
So-
surprised to say you'd get, $75,000 for that truck probably.
So little towns that are not as in good a shape as Town of Anger, like Town of Catawba, they bought a used leaf truck. There are lots of towns out there who, that's the only option for them is to buy something that a larger organization has sort of outgrown.
Questions? Concerns? A lot of concerns? No.
That's a lease. The truck costs what, 370?
5,000, yes, sir.
So that's 6 years of lease.
Yeah,
For the same
after
amount.
6 years of that, the abuse that one of those trucks go through, you're going to start seeing issues. I mean, all the hydraulics, all of the mechanical movement.
I know I have dump trailers, and I sell them every 4 years before I sell them to some other poor sucker. And I buy a new one.
Think about all municipal vehicles, whether it be ours or police departments, that they're sitting there running all the time, so you get more engine hours than you do miles. So the leaf truck we've got down there may have only 25,000 miles on it, but
Got 500,000 hours.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a long, slow mile. Yeah.
And to replace a motor in one of them is costly.
Yep.
Not a, vacuum pump and wear
We're
and
spending
tear.
a lot of money yearly on maintenance. I mean, I think we just, I had a $3,000 purchase on it to replace a part that was broken on it last couple weeks ago.
This type of equipment would be better for a lease, because when parts break on that 07 truck, they no longer made the manifold. We had a hydraulic manifold, and we had to go and spend $10,000 on a hydraulic manifold because it had a hole in it, and we couldn't never get it to weld. I said, okay, we'll just replace the one we got. We don't make that anymore because now it's out of date. It's like anything else. So that, there's where that cost comes in.
And how long is this lease?
I think that's a 5 or 6 year lease.
Do you think that's the only thing they offer is you can get like 4 years, every 4 years, maybe change it out?
I think that lease was generated through Enterprise.
So do you think five years would be?
Yeah, that's the question. Does that time frame?
I mean, because I know, picking up all that sand, it destroys, that's what I'm thinking about,
We'll still have to keep the maintenance up on it. So,
Right.
Every year and a half, 2 years, we have to change the impeller
Right.
in there, and that's just part of regular routine maintenance we'll have to do.
Right.
But then at the end of that time, it's like, okay, the lease is up, we're going to do this, and we
Want a new one.
or you can choose at that time, I think, in the lease agreement, you can buy it for whatever is left.
Yeah, it'd be, like you say, that gets so much abuse that it would be best to turn in for another one.
All right, moving on to Power Bill. All right, so our Power Bill fund is $308,600. The Public Works maintains 33.9 miles of streets. We use that money in Power Bill to resurface our streets. We try to do that once every couple years. When we get ready to resurface our streets, we have an evaluation process. So we'll look at our streets. We'll see what condition they're in. We'll see how long ago it's been since they've last been paved, and we'll see if there's any future utility projects in the area. Obviously we got the core replacement coming along. We're not going to go resurface a street that we're going to soon cut up and put a new water line down. So we take all of those things in consideration when trying to evaluate our streets. Usually how we'll handle that, we'll bring in four or five contractors, and once we pick those, me and Jimmy will pick those streets, we'll bring in 4 or 5 contractors, and we'll walk the streets. We'll all agree on what needs to be done. If there's places that need to be cut out and repaired before the paving takes place, we'll all agree on that, so we make sure that everybody is bidding on the same exact thing for every single street. So once the bidding comes in, if it's higher than what funds we have available, then if it's just a little amount, we can go back to the manager and we can ask to move additional funds out of Power Bill fund balance and to cover that. Or if it's in a large amount that's going to, kind of take away our fund balance, then we'll start taking streets off, just based on the condition of the street. So we're requesting to move $105,000 from Power Bill fund balance into the contract services, which is $299,000, and that's the money that we'll use this year to do our resurfacing. Anything to add?
Right. And so with the Powell bill fund balance, the state doesn't like for you to have a whole lot of money in there building it up. They want you to use it, so again, every 2 years we try to do that. You also can use some of that for some sidewalks, some gutter sidewalks.
And just so y'all know, the allocation from the state's about 180, excuse me, $180,000 a year. And you see how many streets we have, 33 miles. So the state doesn't send us a whole lot of money for maintaining the streets.
And that'll continue to grow as obviously we get more linear footage of streets. So every year that number will increase.
So hopefully on these new subdivisions, we anticipate them lasting 20 years is what the goal is.
So the move-in of the 105 is to get the contractor?
So no, the 105 is the money that we didn't spend for this year.
Right.
So we're going to move that. So that way we can get a larger amount paved, at one time instead of just doing it every year. We'll take the money that we had allocated for this year and move it into contract services for this coming year.
So if they move
Makes sense.
105, we would still have a Powell bill fund balance of 175. Yeah.
So to give so we're planning on this upcoming budget, which is in, let's say 24, 25. We're going to pay. This is our 2 years. Next year's budget, we'll budget whatever revenues we get in, and they'll be broken out in line items. But we won't pay anything at all unless it's something that comes up that we've got a little project that we need to go back and do a small little resurfacing. Then we may add that in, but we usually let that money roll over every 2 years.
Hopefully my subdivision get paved this year.
With core replacement, most of our what we're looking at is going to be on the outskirts.
That's right.
So we'll come up with a list and we'll get together.
Well, you know how bad our
I do.
subdivision is.
I was going to say.
That's a good.
Ooh. Can we use it to put those cinder blocks all the way around the pond?
You use it to get rid of the geese.
We're just trying to be creative.
We can't get rid of the geese. We can get rid of the
No,
ducks.
they've got a strict list.
Can we
Yeah,
use it to
For
encourage
sure.
the
I
geese
know,
to get
it's
rid
the
of
government.
themselves?
Of course they are.
No.
Great.
Okay. Do you need a decision on that right now? Okay.
No, that'll just be
In the budget.
Okay.
in the budget.
Okay.
and the master
Okay.
presentation,
Right.
so just let you know.
Well, before you get into this next stuff,
Because that'll be a longer conversation.
which is really interesting, our lunch just got here, so if you guys don't mind, she's been on her feet the whole time. So we'll probably, if you guys are good,
I could literally.
not me. You're making me nervous.
sit.
All right, so we're going to take a recess for lunch if everyone's good with that.
Yes, thank you. I'm too fidgety to sit.